I'm doing
Mhm.
we need like intro theme music. Let me get the trumpet. Let me go fish that out of my attic. Actually, let's not do that because that would
Let,
take too much time.
let's not relive the ska phase here, Crow.
Hey,
Let's
hey, it's never a phase. I still listen to ska on the
uh,
daily. Thank you very much. Anyway, VAS week 3. We're here. It's gonna be amazing. We have a wonderful matchup for you guys today, by the way. But blah blah blah. Pleasantries aside, I'm Beautiful Crow, you know, the host with the most. And then we also have Infinite Dodge,
woo!
and as always, or most of the time, I think actually, does he have a 100% attendance rate?
I
Is that? I
missed
think so.
I missed 1 week because I
Ah,
actually got physically ill and could not
ah.
talk.
Well, he's only missed
Ah.
1 week, but it's him. He's him. Hemmington the third. It's Kevbo.
These intros every week, we got to dig a little bit deeper and deeper to find ways to keep it fresh here on the VAS. But I think that was an apt introduction here, Crow,
Thank you.
for Kevbo. Who Kevbo and I are sharing a similar boat. We both worked this morning briefly. Came home mid-afternoon and took fat naps. So we're going to be waking up with some thrilling League of Legends. It should be pretty great and motivating the waking up here. Shout outs to Proof, our producer on the night as well. It's going to be pretty good. And for once, we're not actually playing on a new patch here on this Wednesday because of the federal holiday. It doesn't patch until tomorrow, but we do have the patch notes if you guys want to we want to pull those up and start talking about all of
Oh
the
yeah, they
various
do have
goings
those
on.
up. Man, I totally
Yeah.
forgot that bank holidays actually affect other jobs.
What are
Crazy how
you?
that works.
You've been spending too much time in LJL, bro.
Man,
Bank holidays? We don't call them that here. That's an English thing, bro. They're
oops.
federal
Federal
holidays
holidays.
here.
My mistake. Yeah, man, has been spending too much time with our favorite Brits. Shout out Namaris, shout out Matt Swan.
Shout
But
out
yeah,
Middlecut.
shout out Middlecott the goat. But yeah, we are here. Week 3, Group C matchup. Cape Dogs versus Pleasure Doing Business. I love the names. Like I think that's my favorite thing about these amateur squads is just be naming their teams the most random stuff sometimes. But Cape Dogs coming back from last split and early this split. Honestly, they've been here for a minute, right? And this is interesting though. The lineup from once again is basically all different from what it was in summer and what it was in spring. So there's about I think 3 people still returning. Yeah, with Serious for Y, uh, Gold Fan, and Fire Streaks. There might be someone else I might have missed. Oopsie daisy. But it's otherwise a completely new lineup, right? And they're going up against Pleasure Doing Business, who haven't even actually started their full starting 5 in the 2 weeks that we've played. It's always been some substitute coming through, some different lineup, which is totally fine. Which is why we have substitutes. I wish esports would embrace substitute culture more because it's just so damn convenient to have other people to bring in whenever someone else isn't available.
Let's go,
Question.
Kaori. Woohoo.
Yeah. I mean, on that note, kind of a random segue, but what do you all think about LCS finals this upcoming week. I know Danny is no longer going to be participating. So
I
even
had a
pro
tweet.
teams need subs sometimes.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
I had a
telling you.
tweet on this subject just to address the Danny circumstances specifically that got a lot of traction actually, like 90 likes.
Nice.
So that
Hey,
Papa
we get
Dodge
up
loves when that goes
there.
down. We love that. But basically, Danny's only 18 years old. When I was
Yeah.
18, I was a constant emotional wreck every day of my life. I could
Oh
not
my gosh,
imagine
wait.
being a famous esports player under lots of scrutiny and criticism from the general public, on top of whatever, stuff is going down in your life as the average 18-year-old. So I think it's absolutely great that Danny has decided to prioritize his mental health. I think it's great that EG as an organization has supported him so thoroughly around doing so and is making arrangements to get him freshened up and rested for Worlds. I think you could tell over the past couple weeks, just looking at the player cams and the way he was interacting with his teammates, he wasn't 100%. Came through in his gameplay as well. So I'm glad he's taking a break. I'm excited to see Kaori, one of the better ADCs in Academy, come up and baptism by fire, trial by fire. The same thing happened with Bean in unfortunate circumstances last year at Worlds, coming in for Fnatic, and I thought he conducted himself well as an AD carry thrown into the world stage straight from EU Masters for the first time. So definitely
He did what he
exciting
could.
stuff.
I'm surprised Bean didn't get a starting spot in the LEC after his performance at Worlds.
I
He
thought
played
Bean
well.
played great at Worlds. I made memes about Bean.
Right.
You know the meme because he came into our place upset. The meme. There's no need to be upset. Where it's upset, like floating in space, staring at you. I made there's no need to bean upset with Bean in the cosmos staring at you, and then I got I got a nice response to that on Fnatic Twitter because I'm a Fnatic fan because I don't like myself. But yeah, those are Dodge's thoughts. TM on the Danny situation. Go Danny. We love Danny.
Yeah, absolutely.
We do love Danny. I shook his
we
hand. He's a very nice gentleman.
Hog.
Well, we'll have to see what Pleasure Doing Business does decide for this evening, whether it's going to be another group of random players where your top laner is playing AD carry and you have subs, or whether we are going to get all the players here. I know a infamous player in these gold leagues is going to be playing. We might be getting this dilly diff that I have heard of so many times.
Oh, not the dilly
Yeah,
diff,
it's
bro.
the dilly diff, baby. It's the dilly diff.
If I remember correctly, the dilly diff did not go Dilly's way in playoffs.
Unfortunately not. Unfortunately not in playoffs. But
it was a bit of an opposite of a dilly diff in playoffs, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I think it became the antithesis of the meme that it was supposed to be. But it's definitely was something to behold. The guy is cracked. Like on his best day, is just absolutely insane and love to watch. But sometimes, other teams just kind of swoop in and knock him off the throne, so to speak. But we'll have to see which way the coin lands today.
Yeah, it's like Hill is saying, but less supportal and more AD carryable.
Yeah, just
words.
I promise I passed all my English. Passed?
Did you pass them?
Yeah, I passed all my English clashes. God, oh my. Oh man, but I mean, while we're going down, all the theories of possible rosters that we have on for both of these squads, right? It's just so many intangibles, so many variables that we can't actually, go through. It's like, oh, I think if they work with these two players and this combination of players will be, if we do that, we'll be here literally till like the morning comes, So with that being said,
endless permutations.
Oh God, I know. We need like that. What is it? Skip and Shannon in the morning type show. We could just yell angrily about esports rosters and whatnot.
Kev is on a little podcast. Why don't you inform us about that real quick, Kev?
Shout out to the VTS, also known as the Victoris Talk Squad.
Nice.
Week 3 of that will be going live I believe, shortly after VAS concludes here on the
Yes.
main channel. So excited
Lovely.
for that. I believe we'll sneak peek. We might be officially getting the Kebbo Blitzcrank skin tier list tonight. So
Ooh.
And neither confirm nor deny the existence of the tier list. It's a surprise. You have to tune in to find out.
On Dragon Ball Z.
Bro, okay, look. That Dragon Ball Super movie was so gas. Like it was just fan service, fan service, fan service, and I
You
loved
know
every
what?
second of it.
What else do we expect? All gas, no brakes. Let's do it.
Exactly.
No
Love it.
spoilers, but good stuff. Good stuff.
My mouth is shut, I promise.
Yeah, so that's sort of the situation as it's brewed here. We were actually talking about this on VRD last night about how hard it is to build synergy in a draft league because you didn't choose to play together and it takes time, right? Like people you did choose to play together, but you didn't have like it wasn't preconceived, it wasn't premeditated like the group of people you're gonna have, so it takes time to build synergy. I would imagine for Cape Dogs it's gonna be somewhat similar here, or is it's pleasure? Which one is it? It's pleasure that keeps swapping out players.
Yeah.
So I imagine it's going to be pretty similar here, Kev. Hard to find synergy when you're not going with a steady lineup from week to week. So it's going to be interesting to see what pleasure does wind up playing here, and more importantly, how they wind up playing it.
yeah, both teams right now going to be 1-1 in the standings. There's a huge tie right now.
It's a 6-way tie in the middle.
Yeah. Everyone has won one, lost one, except for Golden Providence, who Cape Dogs actually played in week 1. They got 2-0'd by Golden Providence. And at the other end of the spectrum, Divine Ascension, Moonstone, sitting there with 2 losses at the bottom of the table. But both these teams, like we said, have played 2 series thus far. Both are 1-1. The series score the game score for Cape Dogs right now is 2-3. So their last series did end up being a 3-game banger. Whereas Pleasure Doing Business, both their series went to 3 games. So maybe going to be in for yet another banger. On another note, they have both also played the same team. The week 1 opponent for Pleasure Doing Business is the same as the week 2 opponent for Cape Dogs. Both teams won in a 2-0 fashion. So not a whole lot to distinguish between these two teams at this point in the season. Standings are really close together. But any subtle predictions? I know we don't have graphics for it at the moment. But
do we want to? I was gonna say, do we want to just like roll dice or
honestly,
something like that?
We could totally roll dice, and it still would not give us an actual concrete answer. I feel,
right.
But yeah, like it's very hard to say. I want to give the series to Pleasure Doing Business because they have been pulling marathons these past 2 weeks, and so if it goes to the 3-game series, I definitely believe that Pleasure Doing Business can win. If it's just a 2-0, who's to say, really?
Yeah, as I will, I'll pull the curtain back here for a second, just to say, because Kevbo, are you going to be in lobby with us watching the game through client, or will you be doing so via my stream? We just need to work that out real quick.
I'm trying to load that right now.
Okay,
this
sweet.
Is the first time in months that I've actually been able to get in the lobby.
It
was nice to be invited to something.
Yeah. You have the tournament codes and everything.
Yeah. Good to go.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, we're just getting Kevbo in, and then we should be ready for draft shortly here. But yeah, Crow, I think I like your sort of your assessment here. As we're doing a little prediction game, right?
Yeah. I would have to say, I mean, like I said, if Pleasure Doing Business take it to that 3-game, I believe they can take the series. So I'm gonna go with Pleasure Doing Business for that 2-1 stat line.
It wouldn't be VAS Wednesdays without a 3-game series. So if Pleasure Doing Business are the kings of the 3-game marathons, then I think that's a fine way to predict, given the lack of other empirical data. So I'm gonna go the same way. Pleasure Doing Business 2-1. I will throw my hat in that ring. Kev, how you feeling? What's your prediction here?
Um, like you said, I think we can just roll some dice, really, to decide, or flip a coin, and that
All
might
right.
tell us the answer. But doing a little bit of research, I saw something that might be a difference maker in a game 3 situation, so I'm actually going to swing in the other direction.
Nice.
Our Cape Ducks here are gonna take it 3-1 or 2-1. Sorry.
Oh, please not 3-1. Not on a Wednesday night at the
No,
beginning of the
no,
regular season.
no. We'll go with the 2-1. For Cape Duck Dogs here. Man, it sticks with you, huh?
It's the Cam curse, the duck curse. Even though they're not even here, we still routinely call them Cape Ducks instead of Cape Dogs. It's just the way it is, unfortunately.
We've been conditioned. We've been, some would even say, brainwashed by Camcom. It happens. Everybody has PTS Camcom. It happened on VRD last night as well. Me and Regdor. We're definitely suffering from that condition, but definitely a Cape Duck loss incoming, according to my completely arbitrary metrics. We will see.
Well, with all the predictions out of the way, wow.
Through the way?
I'm
Over the way, perhaps?
I'm just not on it tonight. I'm
Either
so
way,
sorry.
it looks like our teams are already banning here, so we might want to
Well-
toss it to draft.
Bah, I'm out. See you.
Bye. Kev, this is the third draft. They gave me one draft link. They were like, no, that's the wrong one. Here's the right one. I was watching the so-called right one the whole time, waiting for draft to start, and he said, they're banning already. And I was like, what the heck? And yeah, there is now a third draft link where they are indeed banning, and we can see the bans they've made. And we're seeing some target bans come out here, Kepo, including 2 AP junglers, which is not something we see a whole lot of emphasis on in comp right now. It's Fiddlesticks and Rumble taken away by Pleasure Doing Business. So they definitely, they fear, I guess the Rumble's a pick, but they fear Gent over there in the jungle for the Cape Dogs, and looks like they're just going to snap up one of these big scaling 80 carries. It will be Jinx's first pick on blue.
Yeah, I mean, Pleasure Doing Business has also played a lot of scaling from the brief things I saw. But an insta-lock Lucian Tarek going to come through for Cape Dogs Unleashed here.
Yeah.
Kind of a surprising lane, especially with the Nami being up, still deciding to lock in that Tarek, of course, could be flexed to jungle. That would be a very spicy one. But it will mean this Lulu goes on over to Pleasure Doing Business.
Yeah, they find the Enchanter for their scaling hypercarry here, and the Jinx gonna just be absolutely pumping out the damage when the late game does come around at an annoying amount of range. And technically, it could be like Lulu Soul Lane and a Mumu support, but I don't think that's going to be the case. He'd be self-counterpicking at that point. The blind Tarek is very punishable with an Enchanter because Tarek typically flourishes as an anti-engage champion. You pick him into the likes of a Leona, not a hook champion. You get a free stun. You get a lot of healing off of melee range auto-trading to keep your 80 carry healthy, and then you use your ultimate to really push through towards the end parts of fights. So the Enchanter pickup very good for PBD here. I think that early Tarek a little bit weird, but we're getting a lot of weird picks from Cape Dogs Unleashed because they round out our first phase with the Nunu, and this is one that can get really annoying in a hurry here, Kev.
Yeah, and it's something that they've played a lot as well. Gent here has played 3 out of their 5 games on this Nunu and Willem, so definitely is a comfortable pick for them, something they're used to playing around. Really good at taking early dragons. Not sure how much that is going to mean, especially with dragons being buffed, having so much extra health and a little bit of extra damage here in the most recent patches. But still something, like I said, they're very comfortable on. And interesting draft, but I really don't hate it thus far from them. It still makes some sense to me.
Yeah, I think for both of these teams, you can say there's some ideas. There's nothing egregious going down. Especially for Cape Dogs, I think introducing an unstable element like Nunu is a good plan against a bit of an unstable team whose comms might not necessarily be all there. And when you compare it up with another really effective roaming champion with tons of capability to lock down zones in a team fight, I think it's going to be great. So Talia is a very sensible pickup here alongside Nunu. PBD just sort of really indexing into scaling. Oh, that's going to be the Victor locked in, and surely it's not the Yumi here, because I'll be real confused at that point, Kev. No, that makes a lot more sense. They are going for a PLD 80 carry comp. It was Zillion banned away by CDU. They didn't want double enchanters for Jinx. They didn't want a free res, but that Stand United coming through from Shen actually going to be about as big of a boon as you can get from a non-enchanter champion to keep the Jinx pumping out damage in the fight. So I still think even without the double enchanter, PBD doing quite well at enabling that Jinx through the draft, and the Mordekaiser might be the final lock in here.
Yeah, Shen also just offers you a lot of map control because you can take teleport plus unseal spellbook, and plus you have the Stand United. So if you want to, you can really just like sack a wave and use a Stand United, win a team fight, and teleport back top.
Aye, that you can.
So just having the capability to show up in these team fights with the Stand United will be very important. Is interesting to note as well. Pleasure doing business. Finally with their whole starting roster. So excited to see how they do end up playing together. They definitely have a very strong team. But they really are, like you said, indexing into that bot side prowess in they really are looking for the dilly diff here. Jinx carry and a lot of support around them. Should be a fun matchup though. Is there any inklings of what you'll maybe like a little bit more right now?
Oh, that's a hard one to spit off the dome, so to speak. I think both of these compositions have a lot of potential. I think Tarek Blind could have been punished a little bit harder from Pleasure Doing Business because they did pick two pretty engagey in-your-face melees for Tarek to sustain off of and get a lot of value out of his Dazzling Gleam in the Amumu and the Shen. I think if we make it to 30 minutes and things aren't like decisively in the favor of Cape Dogs, though, Victor and Jinx with a Lulu and a Shen peeling for them and a Mumu hard engaging, like the ease of execution, the scaling, the 5v5 is just so strong. That being said, Cape Dogs have so much potential to reap chaos in the early game, you know, pull the carries into the Mordekaiser ultimate where they can't be peeled for or buffed up by the Lulu or the Shen. Roam as this sort of death squad with Nunu and Talia to the side lanes and really influence them, just cause chaos. Lucian just popping off with his early game explosiveness. I want to give it to PDB, given that it's VAS, and I feel like even when teams get big early game leads, they don't necessarily close out well with them. But I'm pretty sure my prediction record here in VAS, Kev, is almost as bad as it is in VRS. So take my prediction of PDB here with a grain of salt. What are you feeling?
It's really dependent on how well the bot lane for Cape Dogs snowballs, I feel like. If Dilly, even if they don't get 2v2 kills, if Dilly's allowed to just farm until 3 items on Jinx, I think that they probably just win.
Right.
So that's a much less eloquent way of saying exactly what you just said. So I think this is going to be Pleasure Doing Business taking this one away from the Cape Dogs here. Should be interesting though. Like you said, they do have a lot of really good roam and a lot of really good pick potential, honestly, against the Amumu. But we will be here shortly, finding out what these teams do end up doing. For now, we're going to throw it to a little bit of a break, and we will see you on the Rift.
Only one sale away from the Shopify 1000 Club.
Is that a thing?
Wow, Mom, have a cookie.
I'll take one.
Dad.
These are delicious. You need to sell them.
You should.
Mom.
No, seriously. Let's set you up on Shopify. It's
Alright, and here we go on to Summoner's Rift here at Dodge. A little bit muted in Discord. We'll get that solved here shortly, but it is going to be a level 1 invade. It looks like coming in from the Cape Dogs here.
That it is. They're going to sweep away a ward, get a nice little bit of XP, and they're going to split that 5 ways, so I don't think any of them get a level 2 off of the first wave doing that, but it's all good. You know, it's still a piece of candy picked up here. As well, I do apologize for the delay getting onto the Rift. We did have a little pause situation coming out with the players. I think some bathroom breaks are in order. But Kev, something is immediately screaming out to me as we begin this game, and that is Gent not only picking up the Nunu, very confident, going with the Dark Harvest Nunu here in our first game of the night.
Yeah, a little bit surprising to not see them go towards a more tanky rune choice. I'd imagine that they want to be tanky, especially against the opposing side, and the fact that they don't really have a tank. Mordekaiser can build some tank stats, but is really going to want to build like a Rylai's and some AP damage. So not sure why Gent is opting towards even more AP damage themselves, but should be kind of interesting. We are going to see the Arcane Comet Talia. I don't know if that's the build that you see most often. I'd imagine that I don't play Talia, so I probably can't say for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised
Electrocute
if...
and First Strike are definitely more common than the Comet, but the Comet's not int or anything.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I was expecting a First Strike, but that one is going to come through, like you said.
It's actually
anything
Comet
else?
for both of these mid laners, which neither of those mid laners most taken rune is Comet. That's it's an interesting little bit of serendipity here, Kev.
Yeah, Glacial Augment also for Tarek, I think, is a little bit strange.
Yeah, it's a little bit more common, but definitely you do see Spellbook about as much. Guardian, Aftershock, both also viable, but Glacial's up there.
Yeah, and we ended up getting the Grasp for Shen as well. I think it is important to note.
Yeah, gonna give him a lot of laning power here into Milk Cows, help prevent the onslaught of this Mordekaiser a tad bit. So definitely give him some sustain, give him some capability to trade back without just getting pooped all over by that mace falling onto his face.
Peek here with a nice little double clear there on the blue and the Gromp at the same time. Nunu, though, should have a very similar clear speed, but it will actually be a very well done clear by the Amumu here. Got all the camps, got the Scuttle. Already going to be looking for a gank top, at least relieve the pressure for a little bit onto P2.
Yeah, and seems like he will be somewhat successful in achieving that goal, although he's still hanging in that brush for a good long time up there, I can see on the mini-map. Just really trying to buy some space for P2 as he shoves that wave back out off the crash. Is now Tom going to trade onto Peak a little bit, and now we go up top lane for the gank, but that's the flash taunt, so well done from P2. That's the sword through to find the slow. That is going to be the third auto attack from Shen. Maybe no, the first blood goes to the Peak, as now we have a bad situation. Tom going to get caught up under that turret. Gent was there to try and make the cross map happen, but that is going to be big kills already coming through for the scaling comp. I think our predictions are starting to look a little bit more like a prophecy here, Kev, although not if Nunu finds the Dark Harvest proc onto the Lulu. Got a little bit greedy looking for that vision.
Yeah, did not respect the regank potential. Of course, Nunu can come into the lane very quickly with that snowball, of course. So maybe got a little bit surprised there, but also really good pathing by Gent here. Already going to be in mid lane. Going to force a flash as well. I think maybe could have gotten away with that one without flashing, but just going to respect it anyways.
Better safe than sorry, Kev. That's what I always say.
This wave state really isn't good for Dilly as well. Did not get all the way into the tower and is slow pushing towards Wisdom. We'll have to see if they do end up being able to freeze that. There is a definite possibility that could come through. But trades across the map going well for both sides. And it will be really, I think, the Amumu winning out here. Has been clearing faster and did end up kicking that kill onto the Mordekaiser as well.
Yeah, his individual gold lead here pretty good, about a kill's worth ahead of the Nunu. Some XP differential there as well, up the level, so definitely in a position to continue to make things happen. But shoutouts to Gent, you know, getting work done on this Nunu, doing exactly what we said Nunu could do in the Champ Select, which is be a nuisance, find these creative angles, and just create chaos. And now he will be starting up that Drake. Well, it looked like he was going to, but going to peel back. Took the snowball all the way into the pit, but I guess just wanted to check it out. And is now going to pull back. Doesn't want to slow that level 4 when his lane doesn't have priority. That's an easy way to get killed, but we have another gank coming on through into the top side. P2 starting it off, but Milk Cows does have that death realm to go down onto the Shen. He's going to have to dodge and dip and duck and dive around inside that enclosed space as the Peak is just waiting for him to come on out. The Claw is good. The Bandage Toss is even better, however, as P2 picks it up. Another kill down onto that Mordekaiser means Shen's getting in on the party. Double Beef Boys, double Bombies, and double kills coming on through.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate there with the timing on that hand from the Mordekaiser. This is going to mean that Nunu is going to do Nunu things and pick up a very early drag here at about 6:30. Oh my gosh, dodge.
Yes.
What is this? There's an icon on my screen
Oh.
that is a Hextech icon.
No way. Not for me. I see another Mountain Drake icon, so close, right? Almost
Close.
fixed things.
Almost.
But not fixed quite yet. I don't know what our producer is seeing because we are casting through client this time around. But yeah, proof has chimed in that we are also seeing Mountain on cast. So we're so close, right, to greatness. You just need to fix the replay client up a little bit more. I can't believe Kempo is seeing a Hextech icon. That is a thing of beauty. Maybe that's something we can all bask in and share one day. But something that is being shared right now, Kevbo, is the wealth, although that's going to be a nice little trade onto Devian from Sirius. The wealth being distributed nicely amongst the lanes here for Pleasure, as they have all 3 of their lanes, you know, sitting at about 300 gold of advantage over their opponents. 900 total to about 1,000 total gold lead. They're doing well in this early game, with what we sort of pegged as the worst early game comp. So definitely an exciting turn of events coming on through.
Yeah, even with that death though, Wisdom does have a little bit of a CS lead here on the bot side.
And a lot of bit of a CS lead. Holy smokes.
Yeah, so that is still feeling really good for them. They are actually going to also get an invade onto the Amumu here. Going to get that blue buff for Talia, who really needs it in the laning phase. Really helps out her ability to push and roam.
Yeah, as now P2 feels the aggression coming on through. Milk Cow's going aggro mode with Gent coming to back up, and the Peak could have come in, but who knows how that would have gone. However, as much as there is the CS lead, there is also the aggression lead down here in the bot lane, as Wisdom finally showing what that Lucian can do in the early, just making Dilly eat that full culling to the face, coming on in with Targon to grab up a nice amount of damage onto the Jinx. Now has to play it so carefully.
Yeah, they faked the back, which allowed for a lot of good things, as Peak goes way too far forward, maybe?
I mean, he's so tanky, bro. Sirius played it so well, stunned him up as he bandage tossed through those stones, and even found the seismic shove back under turret, as Gent now has to abandon any hopes of bringing that snowball in. Devian just a little too safe, a little too healthy under that turret, soon to have flashback up as well, so would have been outplay central if that aggression was taken, but the action never stopped. P2 onto Milk Cows. Gonna get the worst end of that, because unfortunately, that Spirit's Refuge just not going to be enough to keep Shen safe from a champion that doesn't rely on the auto attacks and get that passive procced and can just do a big zone of damage all around him just by smacking you up with his Q.
Yeah, absolutely, and I went ahead and gave myself a little check here. It is Devon already got that first Hextech upgrade there, so going to be feeling much nicer in lane. I'm not sure what the timing on that usually is, but it does seem like that is pretty quick to get it before 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's right on pace, I would say. if you're farming at a decent level and you get a little bit of kill participation, that is a nice pace to keep that up, and then sort of accelerate them as they go. Hopefully see the next one in about 6 minutes, and then 5 minutes or so after that, and I think it'll be very good for the victor. But just goes to show that Cape Dog's not really doing much of what we hoped from them here. The Nunu being a little bit effective in the early game, Lucian finding some good trades, but they are not stifling out this scaling composition that is opposing them for pleasure doing business, and that's not so great. Even the Jinx has caught up a fair amount in the CS now, so no big advantages to keep this team from reaching its full potential.
Yeah, and Peak continuing to farm up a storm on this Amumu as well, feeling really nice on that one. Milkcow's going for a really aggressive trade, though.
Yeah, I mean, Pizza did engage that one as we see the flash dazzling gleam into the culling. That is going to be the wild growth coming through onto Dilly, who does get the traps out but finds nobody in them. So that is an exchange of ulti for ulti and flash for flash Targon to Dilly, but you will take that with the next Drake spawning in 8 seconds. Establishes a lot of priority with big team fighting ultimates down for the enemy. It does look like this Hextech Drake will be Cape Dog's to snap up. Should be a good way of ensuring themselves some capability as this game goes later. Get 2 really nice combat Drakes here in the Hextech and the Mountain.
Yeah.
Oh.
Billy almost stole that. Well timed, but didn't end up mattering in the end. Devon maybe going to get... No, Nunu is just going to walk away there on the minimap. But really well played, I think, by Cape Dogs there. Forcing all of the summoners and that wild growth right before drag means that they have priority onto it. So even if you show up, you're going to be down that wild growth, as well as a lot of ability to team fight. Simply because...
Oh my god, Peak! Peak has Electrocute, by the way. I didn't even notice. He has a 1-stack Dark Seal as well, so he just forced the flash out of Gent by finding the max distance Bange Toss turnaround. This Amumu is kind of doing work, Kev.
He's Amumu,
not done!
AP Amumu is really not bad. I played...
He was abusing Gent there. The CC locked down the damage. That's not even full AP either. It's still going to be the Sunfire first, but it's the Spell Pen Boots and now the 3-stack Dark Seal. I mean, Amumu's the one who's supposed to be invading on you and making your life hell in the early game, and the Peak just made him look silly, bro.
Yeah, AP Amumu, really not bad. I was playing with a friend last night who decided it would be a good idea as...
I mean, the trades just don't end here, Kev. We will get your story in, I promise, but this is a nice turnaround as the traps were perfect to find Wisdom and Targon, but if that second stun does land, things might get dire, although the healing from the Lulu can only be counteracted by this Cosmic Radiance, although now it has been the expiration of that invulnerability with 2 low health bars. Still, he wants it. He smells the blood in the water, but he has no mana. He has no passive proc quite yet, although he wants to get it. Just going to have to content himself with these minions instead. That was a whole lot of smoke, a whole lot of fireworks going off for no real result either way. And you know what? I think that really favors pleasure here, Kev.
Yeah, I do think that that means a lot for them. They are going to get the wave back to an even state. They're going to force some summoners out, but this also means that Gent, knowing that the Amumu was on the top side because they saw the Victor leave to go get that blue buff, means that Gent is going to go in and secure themselves a red buff for free. Going to feel very nice, especially after the previous little invade that happened there. Peak, of course. As I get back to my point, AP Amumu is actually really strong. He has really good AP scalings. I played with a friend last night who played... as P2's probably just dead here.
Yeah, he's just dead. You can go ahead and tell your story. Although maybe he's outplaying it a little
anyways,
bit. Yeah, no, he finally dies. Okay, AP Amumu. I've been waiting. I'm on the edge of my seat.
AP Amumu into Syndra and was, I think, 5-0-3 at like...
Wait, he played it mid?
He played it mid into Syndra. And absolutely smashed. Yeah, it was the freest jungle game of my life, I'm not gonna lie.
Let's go.
So, don't count it out. I don't think we are going to see more AP items coming through, but I really don't mind the early Dark Seal pickup because of the scaling that Amumu does have with the AP. Does mean that can end up meaning a lot of extra damage, especially if you are able to get those early stacks.
Yeah, for sure. I think the Spell Pen Boot's also not bad, considering your Sunfire Cape is going to be doing magic damage on top of the rest of your kit doing magic damage, so going to be ignoring a little bit of that MR. I also wouldn't be surprised, Kev, to see one more AP item before full tank, which would be Demonic. I don't know if you recall the item rework preseason in Season 11, but Amumu could solo Baron at 20 minutes with Sunfire Cape Demonic. It was absolutely disgusting. We still see Diana abusing that combination, as it will be a little bit late for plates, but we will see a Herald crashed into a teamfight as Peak on the wrong side of the wall. But look at the Peak with the Wild Growth, with the Curse of the Sad Mummy. The Wombo is so insane here from Pleasure, as Dilly can't quite get the last hit onto Sirius. One, those resets, one, that excitement, but this has been a very clinically played game from Pleasure. They're looking like a high elo team, the way they've just played patient, not giving up advantages in the lane, and just continued to snowball. And I think they're going to have a pretty easy time closing this one out if there's no big throws here, Kev. And they should start that with this Windrake in 15 seconds.
Yeah, did end up picking up just one kill there, and really well played, I think. They are backing though, so there might be a window of opportunity if they do end up rushing this. I think they're gonna try and contest what they think would have been Pleasure doing business on this drag. But everyone's in base, so they might end up just taking it themselves.
Yeah, and Amumu is such a safe take, even if, or rather Nunu does. Even if Amumu does arrive in time to see it go down, that's a 1k Q plus the 950 smite. That's basically impossible to get stolen away, although it doesn't look like Gent had smite there, so just had to take a gamble with the Q. Does find it coming through, so that's Soul Point coming on through. That is, you know, one way in which Cape Dogs has played this early game very well, despite not finding the gold advantages they won. They are down about 2k still here. So yeah, and first turret still yet to go down as well, so they do have a chance to collect some standing gold and slingshot themselves back up a little bit. We'll see how it does go, but now Milk Cows and P2 back into the Death Realm. As P2, I don't think you calculated this one too well, buddy. Ticking down, forced to flash Nightfall, but the Claw will find him. It will deliver him up into the Mordekaiser. Wanted to be a little bit annoying, wanted to stop that back, winds up paying for it. Learn your lesson here, kids. Never be an annoyance just for the sake of it.
I mean, I think Hillisang would beg to differ.
Well,
But
Hilly's different. Hilly's built different.
We are going to be seeing a collapse onto the Peak here.
Yeah, this could be things starting to go wrong for the side of Pleasure, as the Peak will fall down. Devion is here, gets the Chaos Storm out, finds these Doom Lasers, trying to do all the damage he can, but that Super Mega Death Rocket not connecting means a big old sad face for the side of Pleasure. Now here comes P2 on the Shen. They have low health bars to work with. Milk Cows obviously doesn't have the Death Realm. We just saw it used before the death, but the taunt doesn't connect. However, Gent could fall here to Devion, but the damage is going to be big. Thankfully, the stopwatch is there to prevent the Dark Harvest damage, to prevent the burst. P2 now is the low one, as these stones will continue to find Devion, who's going to tick down to the Leandries. Yes, he will. Just like that, it has been such a huge turnaround. I cast or cursed it, Kev. I said preventing any throws. This should be an easy game for Pleasure from the position they were in, but they are about to surrender this gold lead. Soul Point as well for the side of Cape Dogs. They're in a good spot all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's going to look pretty rough for Pleasure doing business here with that gold lead evening back out, of course. We are going to be seeing the spikes come through, as well as Fuzzy with another nice gun gonna come through.
Yeah, Dilly did live through that culling, but Peak didn't want to take any chances, gave them that wild growth anyway, as Dilly just completely greeting out for that ward, stood and face tanked the culling for it, stood and face tanked the Dazzling Gleam stun, as Peak not going to connect on that bandage toss, doesn't have time to prevent this Herald from finally taking the first turret of the game here, does find the double curse of the Sad Mummy, however could set up a wombo, the Chaos Storm is there, Gent will fall, no! He walks it on out, Serious for Y as well, the conversion just not coming through there for Pleasure, but the rocket going down mid won't find anybody, no, it splits the wickets, hits the fountain. It finds no target.
Yeah, and continuing to push the advantage is the Cape Dogs here. They really are, like I said, getting to that mid-game power spike that they're really looking for. 6 Dark Seal stacks for the Talia as well. I'm going to be feeling really nice. Mumu, of course, back down to nothing. Maybe about time to think about possibly using a little bit of extra money here. Coming through for the Dark Seal. Just sell it for your next item, of course, is always an option. But I don't think we will or should really be seeing much more action until this wind drag coming up here in about a minute.
Yeah.
So both teams should be getting in here to clear very soon, set up some vision control, but this is going to matter a lot.
Yeah, as we see a little bit of a bargain bin item inventory going through for Wisdom. Start going towards maybe a collector here with that early serrated Dirk, and then said, no, I want Essence Reaver, and went for the Sheen. So only on 1.5 completed items, but Jinx in a similar spot for Dilly does just have that Zeal on top of Kraken Slayer as they're trying to find a play here. Our Pleasure doing business onto the opposing bot lane right before this Drake. Fuzzy has walked into that brush, the peak, considering it, and that's going to be the Banish Toss onto the Lucian. The burst comes out before anything can be done. The Cosmic Radiance was available, but it's not going to be used in time to save the Lucian. It will save Fuzzy at least, unless this lethal tempo range finds him, and it will. That's going to be the excitement continuing as now Nunu forced to just use that ultimate to clear the wave. And with 30 seconds till Taric hits the Rift and another 15 on Wisdom, it should be just enough time for this first Drake of the game to finally go on over to the side of Pleasure doing business.
Yeah, I think a contest there would be very ill-advised, even with some of these key team-fighting ultimates down. There's not really a good way for them to get on to Billy. So going to end up just having that one go over, throws out the traps just to make sure that there is no contest, but it will be a first win Drake here picked up, like you said, for Pleasure doing business. Should be going back to relatively straightforward farming. Lots of gold is still up on the map, only one tower down, and that is the mid-tier 1 for Pleasure doing business. So a lot of gold is still to be taken for whoever is so lucky to get there.
Yeah, we'll see who starts claiming up some of these prizes that are available on the Rift, scattering for the candy on the ground after they burst the pinata, so to speak, as Pizzu, sort of the silent sufferer here in this game so far, has got some early attention from the peak, but then was basically left in a very hard lane matchup. But, you know, scaling up, getting ready, waiting to find their moment with this Stand United. One thing I would really like to see is it looks like it's going to be the Force of Nature second, is after that, you know what the busted Shen tech is, Kevbo, as a bit of a Shen enthusiast, is Redemption on Shen. It boosts the shielding off your ultimate and adds a whole ton of team fighting potential. Super cheap. It doesn't even matter that you don't use mana. It's not really a wasted stat, as Milk Cow's going to get polyed before he can do anything, but so tanky. We'll just walk on out with this Rift Maker. So Nunu gang spot, cross map is top, but nothing happening. I think things are going to hold in the lull, as you predicted, until perhaps a Baron fight. But now Dilly, deep in his own territory, actually caught out, has no way to get out. The Stand United is just going to be wasted. Not enough EHP there to keep him through that onslaught. That's a bit of a pain for the side of Pleasure.
Yeah. Going to possibly mean a Baron take here, as well, as it looks like they're walking up that way. Already started by Milk Cows. Without Dilly on the map, a lot of their team fighting potential just really goes away without Dilly being up. That's going to be a majority of their damage in pretty much every fight. And like
this
you
is
said,
just ticking right down, and look at the stones to zone the opposing team out as well. That was a nice, clean take coming through. Nicely done by the Cape Dogs.
Yeah, it was very decisive. They got the pick on Dilly and immediately turned, went towards that Baron, able to pick one up nice and easily, and should mean that they hopefully end up snowballing this little bit of a lead that they have at this point even further. especially with the ability they have to siege with the extra Baron empowered minions.
Yeah, as now the Peak has to sit back and watch this Death Squad approach his tier 1 turret and lay siege to it. Going to find the Banshee Toss into the Curse of Sad Mummy. That's big damage as the Death Realm comes through. Wisdom once again bailed out at the last possible second by the Cosmic Radiance, but P2, not willing to give up this fight, does have to cede the forward territory here in favor of that teleport as the Seismic Shove will pick off the support. Dilly has no rocket. It has already been used, has found no kill with it. Can't find anything further. They have repelled this siege somewhat so far, but Sirius for Y doing so much chip damage. In the meanwhile, will be Deviant on the opposite side of the map, gunning for this tier 2, but Mordekaiser responds in time, so play is continuing to be brought through so cleanly from the side of the Cape Dogs.
Yeah, and they are just going to reset, it looks like, for pretty much every member of both sides. Red Buff going to go over to that Lucian here, just try to snowball him even further ahead, if possible. Of course, did end up picking up that Essence Reaver almost onto that third item. On the opposite side, Dilly has picked up the Runan's Hurricane, so going to be working towards a next item. What do you think is going to come through here for Dilly on the third item?
You know, it's interesting. Normally it would be PD, right, into Infinity Edge, but with the Runan second feeling like he needs that wave clear, feeling like he needs that AoE in teamfights, it could be either coming up third, the PD or the IE. If you really want to hit the hardest 3-item spike possible, it's going to be PD, but you might be missing out on some of the ramping damage over the team fight that you might want. So I'm not the most up-to-date AD carry player. We'll have to see what Dilly decides here. I would lean towards Infinity Edge, though, because you're running out of time to really reestablish yourself in this game down 3k, and now they know it. They are engaging with the Shirelles, but Deviant just completely blocked out of the fight, knocked down at the rim there, as now the Death Realm going to create so much space for the rest of the team to move forward as the Peak is going to fall to Wisdom in the end. That was a bungled engage coming through, a bit of a desperation play from Pleasure, and this should line up the free and easy win soul for Cape Dogs with the opposing jungler off the map.
Yeah, it was a good engage, but it was also really deep, and the Talia did a phenomenal job on the side of zoning out that other engage that was coming through almost the river there, not quite through the river, but able to pick up a return kill, the Death Realm doing so much to prevent them from really even getting onto Wisdom there.
It's a sad world if you are a Pleasure Doing Business fan, as they had such a good early game, and just once laning ended, really failed to come together in a coherent way, didn't prioritize the early Drakes very well, and as such, they're sitting in a position that, looking at their comp, you wouldn't expect them to feel with some of the level 16 spikes about to come through. But they are definitely under a lot of pressure right now. Thankfully, the Baron buff for the side of Cape Dogs has expired, so maybe they can look towards an Elder or the next Baron to even things up, but definitely a tough spot to be in.
Yeah, with these objective bounties, though, it does show a light at the end of the tunnel a little bit for Pleasure Doing Business here. Of course, if they are able to get up to and take some of these tier 1s, they should be able to take them pretty quickly. Of course, the longer this game goes, the better it's going to be for them as well, or the better it should be for them as well. With the Jinx sitting there, just scaling up super hard, going to be getting even more healing and shielding from Lulu and Shen as well later into this game. But right now, it really is, I think, about Cape Dogs continuing to press the advantage they already have.
Yeah, for sure. As those rings of power coming on through for Cape Dogs, definitely going to be one of those advantages to press. 14 combined Dark Seal stacks on the mid jungle, and they are just ready and willing to once again burst down this Baron as soon as it comes out. They are just hovering this top side, as they've been playing with this Cloud Rift well to kite around, just lay some poke down, but it's such a hard approach through this vision line for Pleasure Doing Business to get to that Baron to contest. They are finding a lot of poke onto Wisdom, though.
Yeah, and it looks like we will be opting into a 1-4 for both teams here. Mordekaiser with a nice little wave pushing on the top side as well. Back just came through, of course, for P2 there. Maybe going to look to walk towards mid as the wall going to come out.
Yeah, that was the trigger being pulled, but that is going to be Talia in a world of hurt, all on their lonesome. Thankfully, the rocket doesn't connect to Sirius for Y. Once again, gets away with Murder the Peak onto the backline, just soloing Wisdom, but is getting kited out as well. The press the attack procs, cutting through the health bar. How do they keep getting away with it, Kempo? It's going to be Cape Dogs wiping this fight. It was so poorly executed in what should have been a free setup from the side of Pleasure Doing Business, and this could just be the game coming through with 46 seconds to go on Deviant, your primary wave clear carry here. The only thing that's saving them right now is it's only the one minion, but there's another wave coming right up. They have big tanky health bars to, keep this this debuff going on the Nexus turrets as well. That's going to be Nexus turret number 1. Nexus turret number 2 soon to follow. The Nexus naked, open, and exposed before any defenders can hit the rift. I mean, that was just highway robbery. That was a massacre coming on through in game 1. Cape Dogs going on up.
Yeah, and it really came down to the same thing that happened in the previous team fight. The Peak just really overforcing good engages, but continuing to overforce. And it really seemed like disorganized for them as well. There
Yeah.
wasn't a lot of single target, not damage coming through, but like priority onto specific targets. The Peak all the way onto the back line against the Lucian, whereas Dilly and Peak just trying to get through the Mordekaiser. So they're not focusing their damage, and they're not getting that single health bar cut down to the point where they really can force a big team fight and get the resets onto Dilly that they needed. Just really, I think they overforced a couple times in a row, and that's what cost them the game.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what we were talking about in the pre-show as well, right? About this is their first game with all 5 of their intended starting members. The synergy maybe not quite there. The calls looking pretty split in a few of those fights. It was a good early game. You can tell these players are good laners, right? They drafted themselves into back foot laning matchups in favor of scaling and still managed to win out in lane. But when it came to the 5v5s, they just couldn't find the synergy they needed to win them out. It's going to be a painful one for Pleasure Doing Business. It feels like a bit of a wasted opportunity, but hopefully they have a nice, productive chat between games, come back with a fresh focus in game number 2, and can equal up this series here. But things looking good for your predictions, Kev. I believe you were the single Cape Dogs believer on the desk, so they're well on their way to winning it. We'll see if they can close it out quickly in game 2, or if it will go all 3 games, as it always seems to here in VAS when we do get around to the end of this quick break that is coming up. Stay where you are. We'll return shortly.
Oh. When they are on draft.
All right, everybody, we are here for our Game 2 draft. The bands are flying on through. More AP jungler focus. We got Fiddlesticks, we got Diana, we got the teams back on the same sides. Kev, we have a lot of similarities. What differences do you want to see here in this Game 2 from how things were conducted last time around? I can already spot one.
Yeah, I think that's a good adaptation. I think getting rid of being Nunu is a good choice. I think maybe also banning the Lucian isn't a bad idea. Force them onto something that is going to be required to scale a little bit more. Of course, Zeri and Sivir did both get nerfed, but Sivir is something that I did see relatively prevalent throughout all leagues that I've seen or casted or participated in. But that is going to make it all the way through draft. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see someone either just lock down the Lulu almost immediately here for PDB or that Sivir. That is another really good, strong team fighting champion, but it will be possibly a Draven.
Get baited by hovers, but this would be pretty pog for CDU. Another early game strong AD carry, as I would really like to see Pleasure doing business opt into more early game champions, because last game they proved they had the laning prowess to win lanes with scaling champions. So just get something that's like going to be easy mode when you get to those mid game fights, as we do see Fuzzy Targon going back to what I would assume is their one trick. If your name is Fuzzy Targon, you probably play a lot of Armor of the 5th Age Taric, and that's probably the only reason why you would ever blind Taric. It didn't feel like Cape Dogs really played better last game so much as PDB played worse, in my opinion. I don't think they should have lost that game from the position they came out of lane in. I mean, CDU did put good emphasis on those early Drakes, but they played around the Nunu well, right? Like, they played around everything Cape Dogs had well until it came to the 5v5s, and then it was a lot of low health bars getting away, a lot of split focus, just a lot of bad synergy. So the draft to me here is not so much as important as the mindset change from Pleasure doing business. But it's not a bad draft either. They're going to pick up Renata. Very strong team fighting pick.
Yeah, opting towards the Renata instead of the Lulu. A bit of an interesting adaptation, but I think should be pretty good into the Taric itself. Especially paired up with that MF that is going to do a lot of damage with their autos. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Eclipse come through early for her, as it is actually going to be a J4 picked up kind of early. I don't love it into what Pleasure Doing Business has picked up for themselves thus far. Of course, you still can lock the Sivir and the Cataclysm. She doesn't have like a dash or anything to get out of it, but still is going to be able to prevent the flag and drag with the spell shield if timed properly.
That she will.
Mordekaiser ban, I think, warranted here. We did see a lot of work put in on that one in the last game. Really prevented a lot of follow-up from the Amumu, or
and
along with the Amumu and the Shen, for sure.
Yeah, very good lockdown coming through from the Mordekaiser last game, as we flew through that second phase of bans. The Talia taken away as well. 3/5 of Cape Dog's last game comp now banned out, means they have to go for something a little bit unfamiliar. Get your Azir games in before he gets gutted tomorrow morning, folks. The Chicken Man is going to be hovered here. The Emperor of Shurima might just be the lock-in. It was already one meta mid laner played very well by the Cape Dogs last game, and it's Talia. The Azir will now be the pickup. I wonder if we see a little bit of... Huh?
Please give it to us. Sirius for Y has played Varus mid.
You read my mind, Kev. That's exactly where I was going with this.
Please, I want to see it. I saw it last season when we were going to cast him, and then it didn't come through. And then this season, we've already seen Caps play it. I didn't do too much, to be honest with you, but...
Nico!
Baited.
Is that they timed out and it got random picked, or are they picking Nico? We will get confirmation on that as soon as possible. but if so, Nico's an interesting one. On the board for a mid-scope update because in like 3 of the last 10 patches got pretty sizable buffs and still has made no impact in the meta, solo queue or otherwise. Aurelia going to be the pickup as well, so a little bit more of that early game power I was looking for from Pleasure Doing Business. Can definitely snowball hard, but Cape Dogs wants to match that with an AD fighter of their own. This could be a hugely fun skill matchup to watch up in top lane.
You know, I
Come on,
realized
lock it in. We'll
at
see.
the end
Come
there. Sirius for Y plays for Cape Dogs, so we probably weren't ever going to get baited into that one.
Oh, okay. Well, you
but
know.
it's there. If we maybe see an Azir come through for the other side, we might get to see some spicy Varus mid lane. Did end up winning them their series in the last series that Cape Dogs did play. But for now, drafts. What are we thinking here?
It feels scattered. It feels less like like a solid identity for each team this time around. I mean, Cape Dogs actually, they have Cataclysm Bullet Time Equalizer. They just have like the Press R comp, which is good. I think they have a lot of power. The Rumble is obviously one that needs to be respected here for Milk Cows because it did get banned out last game. Assuming that's going up top lane, it could be Jarvan top and Rumble jungle. We will see in just a second because we are into client draft, and I will let you guys know as that one actually does get remade. We have a bit of a disconnect here. I will give you an update on that ASAP. Maybe a little bit of connectivity issues. Okay, client crash. Fun stuff. Riot Games. Love it. But, yeah.
For the Hextech icon, I think, made the client crash.
Indeed. Indeed.
Bit unfortunate, but we should be getting into our game here shortly. Sorry, I guess I interrupted you there, Dodge.
No, it's all good. Not much to cover while we are waiting for the draft to come back, but yeah, looking at Pleasure Doing Business's comp, I think it's a lot more scattered. Nico, there's a reason we don't really see her too much right now. It's because she doesn't really have one super solid identity. She does a lot of things okay, but no one thing super specifically well. She offers some counter engage, you know, with her Pot Blossom, but the problem with that sort of is that you're going to be getting cooked down from super far range with the bullet time and the equalizer, so the only person you're going to be locking up with your ultimate is going to be the Jarvan when he dives in. You have some poke with your EQ, but it's not like oppressive. You could go an auto attack like split push top lane build if you want to flex Aurelia mid, but that's been nerfed into the ground since its heyday, way back when, even after a little buff, like way back on like 12.8, I want to say. So Nico doesn't accomplish any one thing super well. Renata and Sivir kind of want to stand back and make space. Wukong wants to dive. Aurelia wants to dive. It feels like maybe some comfort coming through here from Pleasure Doing Business, more so than the ionized game plan of Cape Dogs. But maybe that could be good. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, they definitely really are all over the board, like you said. I do think that we are going to see maybe a little bit more spicy laning phase come through. Specifically from the laners, of course, Jarvan and Wukong are very much these junglers that want to have early action, want to do a lot of ganking in the early game. Of course, Jarvan, very well known for the one buff into gank style. So maybe some creative pathing will allow for one of these junglers to put their team ahead. There's a lot of good team fight ultimates on both sides, though, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I think, by the way, assuming they're not actually lane swapping these players in client draft, it will be P2 playing that Nico. So it could be AD split push Nico with Hullbreaker. I played that a little bit. I played like some hybrid Nico with Manamune, Nashor's Tooth, Everfrost in top lane. Like when all those Nico buffs came through, I looked for all of the angles. I played full AP burst in the support role, in top lane, in mid lane. I've played AD split push. I've played hybrid. I really tried to make Nico work after all these buffs because I love Nico. It's a great champion. I had a ton of fun with it when it first came out. but I don't know what the angle will be here in this comp. They are sort of lacking on AP if the Nico doesn't index fully into the burst build. We will see what P2 chooses to do, but that is going to be client draft finish here, so we will be going into spectator delay in just a second. Just real quick, Kev, no reasoning, just gut feeling off the top of your head. Who's taking game 2?
I mean, for the sake of my prediction, I think Pleasure Doing Business gonna win this one.
Okay.
I think that it will probably be, like you said, that attack speed Nico. With the passive, should have pretty good pushing potential. Does a very similar thing to the AP Volley Bear with attack speed. Or I would imagine does a very similar thing, so wouldn't be surprised to see them play through that and try to win through some split pushing. But overall, I think the Comfort going to come out clutch here. I think they're going to push us to a game 3.
Since my predictions seem to always be wrong, Kongman is in chat, so he can definitely attest to that. I'm going to try to do a reverse double jinx big brain thing here. I'm going to say that yeah, it's gonna be Pleasure Doing Business winning game 2 here. Following that logic, it should be Cape Dogs giving us our a clean 2-0, which we rarely get, and then I can go to sleep before work in the morning. So we'll see how it goes on the other side of a short break. Stay right where you are. We'll return for game 2 momentarily. right, everybody, we are here on the Rift Forward game number 2, Infinite Dodge, joined by the killer Kevbo. There's not really a great alliterative compliment there, but I'm joined by Kevbo, who's absolutely wonderful. And we got a little bit of a group up in a brush here, Kev. They just want to guard this one up, do pleasure doing business. They don't want any early shenanigans going on. They want to catch out anybody who's maybe sniffing their nose in a little bit too far.
Yep, and it will be on the opposite of the map, just a typical 5 point. We did get to see a nice little ward snuck in from the peak onto the Raptor camp there.
Minions have spawned.
It will be bit of an interesting one. Aurelia still, or P2 still not walking. Oh, I'm getting baited.
You saw the Wukong on the minimap and you said P2 hasn't gone top yet. Maybe they're lane swapping. Come on, Kev. It's Nico. Nico's best decision. She turned into Wukong. Yeah, it's gonna be parallel clears coming out this time. I do believe last game it was perpendicular clears, so both junglers gonna try and go up top. It is Electrocute coming out on P2. That does signal your typical Nico Luden's Echo type burst build. We will see how that winds up going. Deviant in the mid lane here going to secure the early push, as are Dilly and Peak. And it's just gonna be that early game phase where we can sort of take a look at runes, get ourselves ready for a nice game of League of Legends, and try our best to predict who's gonna come out on top. Anything scream out to you about setups here, starting items, runes, anything that you find interesting or comment worthy?
Serious for why going for the arcane build, so it is going to be more of a burst style Azir as well. We're not going to be seeing the alternate style that I think I see a lot. Ooh, as a nice handshake comes through.
Yeah.
But the style that I see a decent amount in the LPL, when I do get a chance to watch that, is this First Strike Leandri's build. So maybe going to be seeing a little bit more of a burst style Azir here.
It's very well possible. Could be that Luden's. Something I definitely find interesting as Peak continuing to hit these handshakes is that it's going to be the Sapphire Crystal start for Serious for Why. Way back when, this was obviously really common, back when Tier was not a starting item, and it was actually Sapphire Crystal that built into Tier. So the likes of Ryze and Azir would start Sapphire Crystal from time to time to go right into a Tier. Now, you build Sapphire Crystal to get into your Lost Chapter on your first back, assuming you're taking Futures Market secondary. You can farm 3 waves, and if your CS is on point, you can get back in time to get yourself that Lost Chapter. So we will see if Serious for Why is going to be rushing either that Luden's or that Leandri's, but once again, I think we're continuing to see the laning prowess of Pleasure Doing Business coming on out, as that's going to be a nice Blade Surge right into the Flawless Duet to find the stun, but Serious for Why going to find so much in the return trade there. A little too deep went Deviant, maybe getting a little bit baited, as Aurelia players tend to, but generally some good trades have been coming through in lane for the side of Pleasure Doing Business. Hopefully they can convert it a little bit better this time around.
And we're really waiting, I think, on this Aurelia for that first item. Should be rushing Bork, that's what we typically see. Should give a lot of kill pressure, especially if they are able to land that Flawless Duet onto the Azir there. But Tilly and Peak in the bot lane are doing a much better job, I think, this time around. Doing a much more even matchup in the early game. Of course, Lucian just has so much power in that early game. But it will be just, you know, some base trading back and forth. P2 getting forced off by a Rumble is not very surprising either.
Yeah, thankfully, with that heat building up, however, Milk Cows can only respond with these empowered auto attacks. Took him a while to get back to the abilities, but P2 running out of mana, ran out of juice to continue the trade, and now is going to get ignited. That last tick might just be enough. Goes into the W, but that does nothing for you. That's why they banned the Rumble in Game 1. Milk Cows, knowing his limits so well, picks up the first blood here. Nico pick not looking spectacular so far.
Yeah, and I mean, it did bait them a little bit in the draft, but I mean, how much is this Aurelia really going to even do to an Azir? that should pass level 6 have pretty easy disengage. I just really don't know what it's going to offer you here other than zone control, especially because they're not opting towards that attack speed style that is going to allow you to push towers relatively quickly.
Yeah, I think P2 felt or got basically a little bit baited, where it's like, if you're playing Nico top, typically it's that attack speed build, but then they have no AP damage, right? So it's a rough one.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate. Wisdom kind of but should be able to pick up this wave. They might actually try to freeze it here. I'm not really sure if they want to, especially with the backs coming in from Dilly at the moment and being low on mana yourself. We should see them just push this one back out. Nice electrocute proc though by P2 there. Going to go back, I think, though, into pretty straightforward laning phase. Wukong hovering mid lane, maybe going to look to get something done here. But pretty stagnant map state at the moment.
Yeah, things continue to hang in a very low action mode, and this is what we saw last game too, right? At least compared to our normal pace of things in the VAS. These two teams haven't been super active at killing each other in lane. I think last game we got out of lane at about 16 minutes, and it was 6-2 in the kill score, so that's only 1 kill every 2 minutes for a gold game. That's very slow paced. This game, it's even more glacially paced, as we already see the mid lane swapping down to bot, and the bot lane coming in here to secure a lot of priority right ahead of this first Herald spawn. This is a very pro move coming through from the bot lane of the Cape Dogs, and they should be ready to capitalize on whatever they so choose, putting their strongest aspects of players right where they can get to the rest of the map easily.
Yeah, I mean, you're just going to lose the push into the silver lane pretty much always. So rotating your bot lane here is going to mean that you end up getting push in at least one of the two lanes that you're going to want push for this drag.
Yep. As the danger ping's coming out, we have a big stack coming through. Serious for why, with such long range on the Azir, was able to farm safely 1v2 down that bot lane, but obviously is going to get pushed in on, so that allows the opposing bot lane to now join the Fracas in mid. Sever now going to have to go back to catch the wave, however. And this is just a game of ring around the rosy on the map, it feels like, but it's one that Cape Dogs are advantageous of in the end because they already picked up that first blood, so the gold is already in their favor. And now, with no response play really coming through, they can pick up this first Herald, hopefully find some plays to expand that lead even more.
Yeah, absolutely, and that is the thing that I want to see from both sides, is more pressure onto these towers in the early game. Jinx was really the only one that was able to get a tower low before the plates did end up expiring. But picking up this Rift Herald should mean that they have a lot better push.
Yeah, as finally we see some action that is going to be the Cosmic Radiance coming out to keep everybody safe. However, Deviant doesn't really care, though, continuing to do Aurelia things as finally the explosion of action comes out. It goes 1 for 3 in the favor of Pleasure doing business. It looked dicey for a second. That Cosmic Radiance bought the Cape Dogs a lot of time, but now finally this early game explosion does find some advantage, and we are at a dead even gold state. Milk Cows as well going to be low, so that first Rift Herald basically going to be traded, pro bono for this first Drake.
Yeah, the one good thing that is going to be said for P2 here on the top side, your wave clear with the full AP build is a lot better, so it's a lot easier to push and roam if possible. So maybe going to be looking to force Milk Cows here on the Rumble to stack waves in order to be at some of these team fights if they are able to continue the split push. However, of course, in the same vein, you have a lot of good push with that that damage coming through from the, I believe it's the Q that's the fire there. I cannot remember the name of that ability.
Yeah. What is the
Oh.
Rumble Q called? It's Flame Spitter. Okay. That's kind of generic, but you know the overheat, right? I actually, yeah, all I know is the equalizer. You never hear any of Rumble's other abilities called by their names because they're all kind of boring. But the equalizer sounds pretty cool and badass, so that definitely coming through. But so far here in game 2, it's not really the top side that's been the big difference maker. It's been more of that dilly diff in that last fight, lasting through and just continuing to DPS, setting things up for Devian to really have the big pop-offs. And now, however, he's getting a bit too big for his britches. Does save that Q to go right back over the wall, however. So the trade not going to be too bad in the end as P2 forced to flash out of that Cataclysm, use that ultimate just as a dissuasion tool as Peak once again going pretty low in lane. The bailout not going to bail him out of nothing, going to fall down there as Dilly going to get tagged up by that Make It Rain as well. Kill score equalized, gold lead ever so slightly, especially with that Herald going right back over to the side of Cape Dogs.
Yep, and it is Fuzzy of Targon again with a really good engage on this Terrace here, able to get a kill onto Peak there. Do I have to shout out real quick because I just saw it. I don't think I've ever seen that chroma on this World's Jarvan skin. That is a sick chroma.
I didn't even realize this was Championship, yeah, it's Championship Jarvan, right?
Yeah.
So
It's a really cool chroma though for that skin. I didn't know there was a chroma on the World skins.
Yeah,
but
I think they get because I know Championship Kazakhs had a chroma for every team that was at Worlds that year. I don't know if they did that again ever, but that might be the chroma for the team that won Worlds. Championship Jarvan was 2020, right? So it would have been Damwon. No, that would have been 2021, so it would have been EDG. I don't know. I don't know what that chroma is, but it's slick. It is a nice chroma. For sure.
Either way, to get back on the topic we have here, both teams going to be looking as yet again. Did you get it this time?
No, I still don't have a Hextech icon. I have a Cloud Drake icon, as Fuzzy of Targon will have a gray screen icon come on up. That's just the Taric taken out. Have the ultimate available, but the CC chain was good to keep him from using that in time. Once he knows the death is imminent and doesn't have enough time to get that popping off, isn't going to bother using it, but now the counter comes through. That's the EQ over the wall. The flag and the drag finds Peak, who once again will be sacrificial, just dancing them up, knows they are a goner, trying to buy the attention of the opposing squad to save Dilly, but it's not going to work. It's going to be a double kill going over to Wisdom on this Misfortune. And it just feels like every punch that comes out for the side of PVB is just being matched up on the other side by the Dogs.
Yeah, and that push is going to mean some tower plates going through for Devony. How are we pronouncing this? Devon? Devoni?
I've been doing Devian. That's just the easiest thing for me to say in a quick Devian. There's a lot of ways you could do it.
On that note as well, I realized that the English language is just bad, and it's actually gent.
Oh yeah, true.
Instead
And
of
I can't
gent.
even. I want to keep calling him Gent. I like Gent better than gent, even though that is a real word. I thought it was just gibberish, but like a gent, that's like short for gentleman. I think Gent sounds cooler though, and I need to stay phonetically consistent with my defense of pronouncing a GIF instead of GIF, because people who say GIF are just beasts, creatures from another realm that must be punished. So that he'll always be Gent to me, as Sirius going to take a nice little E there out of the path of the Flawless Duet. But this is the Drake being started up by the side of Cape Dogs. They're going to kite this one out. You know what else is confusing and an awful application of English here, as we see Gent going to be flashing away. This is the nice little come-up squad as we see the Aurelia ult miss. Here comes the Cosmic Radiance into the Cyclone, the Stream of Shuffle going back. The Equalizer doing work as well. That's the Wombo we were talking about. Double dots on top of each other as Cape Dogs going to take this fight. They knock down the opposing jungler. They take the Drake. Yeah, you know what else is an appalling bit of English here? We have somebody who could be pronounced Peak. Maybe it's Pike, Pake. You know, you could argue. I've been saying Peak here. The support for the Cape, or for Pleasure Doing Business. Then you also have the Peak as their jungler, as the fighting never stops. But Gent just gonna take the flag and drag out. It's been a confusing one in terms of names to cast here, Kev.
I mean, I don't know what's worse, that or in the LEC last year when they had Jezu, Jez's, Gen X, and some other J name that I can't remember, all playing in the same game. But either way, we're all over the place tonight. It is going to be an Infernal Rift coming through here. Both teams, though, I think should be looking towards this next Rift Herald. Possibly going to use that one to take the first Tier 1. Gent here going to flag and drag away.
Yeah, you can't get Carvin the Jarvin. That works. Normally, I really have to force those can't Killian the Zillion style ones, but you can't carve in the... I mean, the tenses don't really work, but you get what I'm saying. What they can do is start up this Rift Herald, though, but with Gent in the wings, waiting to strike with that Cataclysm almost off cooldown, might just be a 50-50, could get a lot of distance into the Smite steal real quick, but coming around to the Rumble side to back him up, the Equalizer just tearing through the peak, as there's the Eye, there's the Smite, there's the clean steal from Gent. He's picking it up, he's finding the Cataclysm on the Deviant as well, going to stack up this Conqueror, but that's a 2-level lead for the Aurelia, so that is quick work, and now the rest of the members overextended, not going to be able to get to that Eye. Fuzzy, go pick it up, go grab it as Sirius, going to find the wall, that Emperor's Divide, going to escort their exit nicely. Somebody take that Eye! No, it expires! They did get the local gold though, Kev. They're gonna stay up despite losing a kill.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, on top of that, you also prevent the siege possibility coming through.
Yeah, as guys, that's an Aurelia with ult. That's a 302 Aurelia with the most busted item, non-mythic item in the game completed. I mean, Deviant trying to drag the team, kicking and screaming across the finish line this time around.
Yeah, has been getting a lot of gold as well, simply because the Azira has been doing a lot of roaming.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a continued siege from Rumble, doing a really good job answering this Nico, but in the mid lane, because of the roams, it will be this Aurelia. Got several plates, I think, going to be now 4-0-2 as well. Bork completed, and it looks like Triforce gonna be coming through next.
Yeah, that's a standard order of operations, although no, Wit's End next. That is what that is. Yeah, they change the item builds a little too often here for my addled play-by-play brain. I'm small brain. I'm a play-by-play caster. It's too much for me to keep up with. But either way, it's going to be an Aurelia attacking real quick and actually buffering through that Emperor's Divide so well. That would have been real bad. Could have gotten pinched in one of those minion-blocked esque spots where she couldn't escape there, could Devian, if that Emperor's Divide wasn't buffered through so nicely with the Blade Surge. Thankfully does find the Q right on through. The cross map will be a turret to answer up the tower score here, but otherwise things still looking pretty good for Pleasure Doing Business. They have about a 1,000 gold lead. That's all you can ask for right now.
Yeah, and still looking for pressure onto this Azir. Of course, is going to get continued to have really good wave clear as well. I'm not really sure what these teams are going to decide to do. We are going to be seeing a dragon in 50 seconds, so maybe a fight is brewing around that. But for now, both teams just happy to push waves and look for setup.
Yeah, and the setup is going to be good right here from Pleasure Doing Business. They can get in deep. They've cleared out all the opposing vision, save for one stealth ward right there that the Peak is walking past now. Maybe he will find that one out, but the Sweeper not quite off cooldown yet means it will still be offering a good amount of information. There's another one down by the pit as well, right next to the Scuttle Relic. So maybe they can find a deep flank, but that's going to be the team fight. Wombo, once again, the overheated Q into the Equalizer. Cataclysm just puts down way too much damage. It's only going to be Dilly falling, though, so that's 2 ultimates, and the bullet time as well. That's actually 4 ultimates down. Holy smokes. That's That's a bit of an overcommitment for one member. I mean, there might actually be an angle to answer this one back. They're going to keep so much vision. They could bring P2 in as well with the stealth over the cone to try and find a Pop Blossom. We'll see what does happen. It looks like Pleasure Doing Business a little bit apprehensive about moving forward. They find the EQ, but no pop through to find the steal there for the side of Pleasure Doing Business. Cape Dogs pick up their second Drake.
Yeah, well played by them, able to get the early kill. Like you said, was maybe a little bit of an overcommit, but I think that they had maybe tried to force that one onto multiple members. The vision, though, going to spot them out. And as soon at least for myself, as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, this is an equalizer into someone's dead here.
Yeah, Wukong just chilling.
Yeah. Never want to be right next to a Rumble when he knows where you are and you're just waiting for him. Did it mean that we get a third Drake coming through? It is going to be a 2-1 in that score, so already doing better are the side of Pleasure Doing Business. It looks like we are going to just go back into a little bit of a lull state here, farming it up. And honestly, I don't really know who wins out here farming-wise.
Yeah, it's pretty sizably in the lead of Pleasure Doing Business right now. I think a lot of their 1,500 gold lead comes from that CS advantage. Like you pointed out earlier, Azir spent a lot of time out of lane, swapping lanes, roaming out of lane in the early game as the peak. Found Wisdom and forced the flash, but couldn't continue the follow-up, and that's the CC chain they were looking for. Finally, Nico shows her worth, the flash Pop Blossom to line them all up as the fight goes so well for Pleasure Doing Business. One little chicken man, the last one left. It was a nice little juke out, and now the Emperor's Divide back into the turret, but I don't think it's going to be enough to find a kill as all of the range is still there. There's a Baron on the map and 5 people ready to scoop it on up. An explosion of force coming forward from Pleasure Doing Business. They will get the Nasher on the back of it as well.
Yeah, that hostile takeover caught 4 members, and they were able to blow up the Misfortune before anything really happened. So this is going to mean both the Ace, like you said, and directly into the Baron going to be getting some backs here. And this is really good for them as well, because their siege isn't too crazy good. Simply because of the range difference that they have. It's really only Dilly that has a really good range for these sieges here, but hopefully these Baron minions will allow them to put some more pressure onto these towers.
Yeah, they got the full ace, plus the Baron exploded their lead up to about 6.5k, and there's plenty of standing gold left on the map to collect as well. Mid lane tier 1 that's already on its last legs. Those tier 2s in the side lanes are the big money order delivers as well. Those can be scooped on up with your split pushing talent in the likes of Devian on the Aurelia or P2 here on the Nico. So lots of opportunity here. The biggest lead I feel like we've seen come out in this series, because even last game it was close right up until the end, where it finally just was one bad team fight too many for Pleasure Doing Business, where they did get wiped out on the Ace. So this is a nice advantage state. I would hate to see it get thrown for Pleasure Doing Business. I want to see them cleaned up. I want to see them find that synergy. Maybe they had lacked in game 1. I want to see a nice close game 3 after this.
Yeah, and Pete going to dash on in there and get that tier 1. But that will mean that objective bounty is going to be coming up here for the side of the Cape Dogs. Maybe going to be looking towards a possible continued siege going to be coming through. It looks like they're going to try and pressure, like you said, that tier 2 bot side though. For the side of PDB.
it's a good idea, right? Because you have this Infernal Drake hitting the Rift in just 40 seconds, so you cheat down, you stay on bot side. But they're looking for another Wombo. Our Cape Dog is not going to go as well as it did last time, though. It's going to be the 1-for-1, and now their Tier 2 falls just as the Cosmic Radiance expires. The Emperor's Divide is decent, but it's still pretty even so far. Deviant staying alive with that W for oh so long. It is a massacre. It's a 4-for-4, and finally the full ace in trade for 4 members. The triple kill coming through for Pizzo, but in the end, that is obviously advantage PVB. I keep saying PVB, that's Fong Vu Buffalo. It's PBD, pleasure doing business, as now P2 can go and pick up this Drake, maybe? No, gonna back it off, even with the red buff health regen. Not a DPS, Nico, really, just with the Nashers, so not gonna feel comfortable taking down these new post 12-15 buffier, beefier Drakes by themselves. Gonna wait for the respawns.
That did, in that last fight, though, really accelerate the Nico here. I'm going to finish up the Nashers, actually, after the Zonias there. So going to be really looking for a lot of this team fight. It looks like they really couldn't decide which direction they wanted to go with the build here, so why not both?
Yeah, I mean, Nashers does have plenty of AP on it, so in a pure AP build, Nashers is not a bad option just to make your W hit with a little bit more oomph. You don't have to full commit to the attack speed build as Gent going in again, going to find the stun with the Dazzling Gleam through from the Taric. The bullet time going to really mess up Devian, but Milk Cows could fall in return. It's going to be P2 going godlike as it's just such scrappy fights back and forth over and over again, but Devian is the benefactor of sustain with the Sunderer, with the Bork, just drain tanks right on through. It'll be the big ol' ace coming on through for the second fight in a row. For pleasure doing business, they'll take the Drake, they'll even up that score, and they are looking so good right now, up almost 10k in this match.
Yeah, they might be able to force onto this tier 2 in the mid lane as well. P2 going to be getting through the minions pretty quickly here. Of course, that tower does have a lot of health, and it actually is even going to push the tier 3 instead. They might be able to get both of these tier 3s here. It really just depends on where they end up deciding to go. Wow, Sivir and Nico took that tower really quickly.
Yeah, when you have two auto-attack steroided champions just going bop, 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 those structures are not long for this world, as things went from looking so good for Cape Dogs in Game 2 here with a couple of big teamfight wombos into a sliding slope of disaster, and it's not the end of the world, right, because they did at least get themselves some early Drakes, so it's not going to be sole point even for another 4 minutes for either of these squads, but they really need to start collecting some of these objective bounties, regaining some map control, finding an effective take onto one of these turrets, because as of right now, Pleasure Doing Business just don't have to commit any resources towards holding their own territory. They can be so good about scouting out enemy territory and finding fights on their own terms. The 5v5s obviously aren't going to go your way with a 10k deficit. It needs to be Cape Dogs a little bit smarter about playing the map at this point, because they can't just lean on their Wombo team fight anymore. It's just not enough. We saw it go about as well as it could in the last fight, and it still wasn't well enough to win it for them.
Yeah, was a bit unfortunate, and they even managed to get the Renata before the hostile takeover came out. So I really don't know how these teamfights are going to look. I think if that takeover lands onto a couple members, especially the important ones like the MF and the Azir there, they are going to do so much damage to their own team that teamfights should be pretty free for this side of Pleasure Doing Business.
Yeah, and PDB, they're playing it smart. They know they just have to stay clumped as 5 right now because their team fight's pretty unbeatable. They don't want to give any weird side lane deaths over that could result in their undoing. This could be a little bit scary, though, going for this Baron, just because it puts you in a pinch where this Equalizer's more or less guaranteed to hit, where the bullet time can really find you. So they're playing it patient. They're waiting for the mistake to come through from Cape Dogs first that they can punish. But this really needs to get shut down before that Death Stance is finished, because she will just be unkillable. And look at how fast this Baron's going, already half health. Here comes Cape Dogs, they're approaching from the back. Gent gets the EDU down, he gets the steal as well! Into the bullet time, just peel back these surviving 4 members. That's a Baron objective time of the peak going forward. However, Fluffy of Targon should just sacrifice themselves to keep the rest of the members out, but that's going to be the flash into the ultimate for Devian. Not going to find anything, however. 3 members living with Baron buff, enough to maybe delay this game a little bit longer. But Pleasure Doing Business don't want to end up in the red here on this play. They still want to continue converting. His Milk Cows is going to get caught out, goes into the stopwatch, but he is not long for this world whatsoever. The Baron steal might have come through, but I think it's just a little bit too much slack being given over with these 3 kills now. Second inhib soon to fall. Nexus in their sights. These purple minions going to be doing a lot of work in repelling the siege, however. The Make It Rain going to find the wave clear. The retreat will be forced.
Yeah, they were just a little bit too low to try and force the... And death time was too low as well. They should be able, instead, though, to get a back here and get back out onto the map for this soul point for both teams here. Of course, a lot of big team fight ultimates going to be down still. But luckily, for this side of Pleasure Doing Business, they should have pretty low cooldowns on those. I don't think we'll actually end up having all of them back up for this dragon fight.
Yeah, and the Death Dance critically still not completed for Devian, so still mortal to an extent, but once that one comes through, definitely going to be more or less impossible to kill with all of the tank stats and sustain stats that have come through on that build, the built-in sustain of the Aurelia. The Renata putting the bailout on her, just going to be so hard to deal with. Done so much work in the backline in these team fights over and over again, setting things up for the team as the vision a little bit mixed around this Drake with 20 seconds to go, but that Scuttlecrab Relic, that unclearable vision, going to be well and truly secure for Pleasure Doing Business, so they should have the inside track no matter what to move up, clear this pink, do whatever they need to do, as we see Cape Dogs just playing so passive and scared. They know how far behind they are. They know they can't win the straight-up fight, so they're going to have to find something like this onto Peak, who just moves forward so aggressively for no real reason, and now it's a 5v4. Maybe they can do something. That's actually a really nice angle on the bolt time, but that's going to be the Flash Pop Blossom coming out of P2. So much shielding, so much damage. The Cosmic Radiance a little bit late. The Emperor's Divide going to do a lot of work. However, can they actually win this? They can! Are you kidding me? Peak, what are you doing in that fight? It will be Soul Point going over to the dogs!
Yeah, I think, yet again, it is going to be PDB over-forcing. We do have some minions pushing. They were able to take that Tier 1 as well previously, but it's just another overforce. As soon as they saw Pete go down, they maybe should have just given it away. It is Soul Point, but at the same time, it's not going to be the Soul, so is it really worth trying to contest in a 4v5 there? Huge shout out, though, to Wisdom. On the side, that bullet time chunked so many members.
Absolutely.
I really don't know why they got bullet timed and then chose to turn and force as well. So just continued, I think, over aggression from the side of Pleasure Doing Business here. They are still in a gold lead, but at this point in the game, it isn't going to mean too much.
Yeah, 6k is nothing to sneeze at, right? That's still 3 legendary items worth of advantage about, well, maybe 2.5 legendary items worth of advantage about for their team fighting, and they have it on critical members. They have it on the Nico, who is still going to be a big old team fight threat, but man, oh man, you hate to see that much gold hemorrhaged back over at once. Thankfully, they do have another tier 2 to hit here and replenish their pocketbooks a little bit right ahead of this next Baron in about a minute and a half. This one's on its last legs. No chance at defending this. That goes on down to a nice little cash injection. And now they can even force on the third lane while they let their supers do the work in the other 2 as well. The Baron's expired for Cape Dog, so it's going to be hard to defend. So much map control going back on over to Pleasure Doing Business.
Yeah, and it is, in this series, it seems, a story of towers. Only one tower taken by Pleasure Doing Business in the last game. And this one, it looks like we might see the opposite come true for this side of the Cape Dogs. Push still very strong, but the wave clear from the side of Cape Dogs is also very strong with this Misfortune and the Rumble especially.
Yeah. And this is where things get a little bit harder for Pleasure Doing Business as well, because I feel like Wisdom and Sirius sort of handily outranging their opponents, right? Wisdom not with the auto attacks per se, probably a very similar. I think it's about 525 or 550 for both of these champions. Both pretty short auto attack ranges on the Misfortune and the Sivir, but the Make It Rain and the Bullet Time definitely allow Wisdom to be effective from a much further range than Sivir is. Devian misses the ultimate there. Now Sirius going on forward, not going to connect on the Emperor's Divide though, so could just fall. There's the Cataclysm into the Bullet Time once again. However, the hostile takeover much better this time because it's actually there, because Peak has not died. The Cosmic Radiance will buy a little bit of time, but I don't think you've cut through the big carries quite enough. Deviant goes down, but still P2 ready to go, finds one in return. Both inhibs back up, but if Wisdom falls, I feel like the defense can't come through. Thankfully, they will get away, so it's a 2 for 3 in favor of Pleasure Doing Business. They'll retake both of these inhibitors as well. Do they have enough juice left in the tank here, Kev, to end the game? As I think Kev might have dropped out here, unfortunately. Hopefully I'm still with you guys. I don't know if it's a connection thing. Could be me. We'll just keep on going through as best as we can. It's Dodge doing double duty. I'm doing color. I'm doing play-by-play. I'm doing it all. As, yeah, wasn't going to be enough juice coming through for P2 and the gang to go ahead and end there, but the pings all over the map, showcasing they have more than enough map control to go down onto that Baron. They have supers in the bot to drag attention to the opposite side of the map. Milkcast has to be careful around here. Nice little use of the Nico clone to scout for vision. One of its most useful, more so than the stealth, quite honestly, as it's the members of Pleasure Doing Business congregating around this Baron. They are waiting to start it up. The only thing that could really dissuade them at this point is another big wombo combo. Peak looking for the dissuasion, looking to gatekeep, but this Baron going down so quick. We've seen Get with the big steals before. Can he do it again? The EQ over the wall! Yes! He does it again! Are you kidding me? Jet cannot be stopped on this Jarvan the Fourth. They even pick up a kill as well. Wisdom going legendary over Devian. And now this gold lead, which once towered at about 11,000 gold, down all the way to a paltry 3k. Soul point already achieved as well for the Cape Dogs with their Soul Drake up in 20 seconds, a 5v4 for 35 seconds, and the Baron buff. I just don't see how they can lose this fight. Peak already chunked out, Jet going forward. I mean, this is a throw of throws coming through from Pleasure Doing Business. It's been so sloppy. And it could just prove to be their undoing. They are positioning around the back of this pit. They are looking for the chance. Peak going to clear out the vision. How fast does this go down? Maybe now it's the Peak's chance for a big steal, but that equalizer is so good to zone them out, as that's double Uber buffs coming on through for Cape Dogs. They are in such a scary position right now, but they do have to defend their Nexus. They have to reset. They have to clear out these supers. They have to keep the Nexus from falling down. They have to keep it from being in a backdoorable position. P2 coming on through with that Nashor's Tooth and all this AP will absolutely shred structures. Those mages already doing lots of damage to structures as it stands. I think that change came through, what, early season 7, right? Where,
yeah.
Oh, we got Crow in. We got Crow coming through to Colorcast with me.
I'm just gonna be observant on the side because I'm not actually in the game, so I am watching from Twitch chat with all of our other wonderful viewers. But this game is so close. That second steal from Jit. There's absolutely no reason that PBD should have given that to him. It's just this gold lead that they had for such a long time in this game is quickly evaporating before their eyes, and now they are really in a spot to where they can lose this and not even get to the game 3 that they wanted to get to.
Yeah, I mean, it's a painful sort of trajectory here for the side of Pleasure Doing Business, for sure. It's been a less than fruitful night of League of Legends. Even when the mechanical play was on point, feels like the synergy, the decision-making, not quite there as much. It's to be expected, right? It's early in the season. It's the first night, as we've stated over and over again, of their full 5-man starting roster going through. So there's still time to correct things, but definitely not an omen of good success, as I do believe we have Kevbo back in here. Kev, you rejoined us.
Yeah,
all right, Colonel.
now that there's no longer an airplane taking off next to me, my computer has cooled down a little bit.
Just a little minor technical difficulties. It happens. It happens, good sir. But Papa Crow was always on here to help save the day. But this game, guys. But this game.
Yeah.
But this TriCast we got going.
This is always fun. I love doing these. Something that's pretty scary, I feel like, for at least another minute and a half here for the side of Cape Dogs, despite the fact that they've really crawled their way back into a pretty favorable position, is they still got Super streaming down 2 lanes, and they've run out of Baron with which to repel it, so it could just be the force end at all costs coming through from Pleasure Doing Business here. We'll have to see if they can punch through this base defense.
You'd have to think that, right? Because you look at the ultimates available from both sides. You were right that CDU was not able to use their Baron buff to their advantage to actually push the waves enough. Like, you see the towers that are still up. Cape Dogs still only have 1 tower. 40 minutes into this game, and they still only have 1 tower with a 70k gold accrued. And Dragon Soul, they only have 1 tower. So yes, even though they've gotten the miracle steals and the miracle fights, they have not been able to translate it to anything on the map. That is their biggest detriment right now. They have to find a way to fight back into this.
For sure.
I mean, at least your inhibitors are respawning here, so it should be a little bit easier to get the wave pushed out. But if Pleasure Doing Business are able to continue pushing on these multiple waves here and spreading them out, it should mean that they're able to get one of those inhibitors back here relatively shortly. It's still just so hard to even come out of your base into this team that will just poke you out so quickly.
That's the flash forced out of peak there just from the equalizer of Milk Cows. He was using it for wave clear. Wave clear actually super exceptional. Yeah, but I mean, that equalizer is a pretty short cooldown, right? So that's going to be back up in less than 40 seconds for a 5-minute flash cooldown. Crazy stuff coming through. Now they have the Sun Disc as well here, Crow, to defend this mid lane push. This is such a good turtle comp.
This is exactly what they want right now, right? You know, starve them out, make them force an error, jump on these minor decisions. We're 41 minutes into this game. You know, the fatigue is starting to set in, right? You know, every single decision, like, these are our gold plat players, right? You know, like, these situations, I'd be getting into them as well in my ranked games, and I'm just like, oh god, somebody pull the trigger, please make the optimal play, let's go, let's get it over with. You'd have to be thinking the same for these players right now. For Cape Dogs, they want to get this 2-0, get this night over with, call it a night. For PDB, they want to get this to game 3 and still have another game to fight through to this, but they're looking for answers as they're trying to put Vision down. You see the Vision all encroaching on this side of the map, and you just see the flank potential from all these members, and you're gonna have to look to pull the trigger soon.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like here, Kev, definitely the catalyst that needs to be advancing for the side of Pleasure Doing Business, going to be the big engage with that ultimate.
Look at Deviani staying on the side, staying towards that top side of the map, potentially, like, you know, looking for that Aurelia flank, that big ultimate usage. But it's such a scary state for the Cape Dogs, because they have to be able to push up to establish some vision, but there's nothing in there. Look at the flank potentially happening.
Yeah, they're trying a little bit of a Fnatic brush, and
Cape
Dogs are trying to just go the long way.
That's Scryer just saved Cape Dog's life. I want you to hear it here first. If that Scryer had not come out when it did, that would have been a full ace.
But they still have standing gold to collect here, right? So they're just pushing up mid. They're saying, you can't bait us. You can't go camp a brush and wait for us to try and contest this Baron, because we'll just take what's on the map. We have so much to collect yet. And now they bought a lot of time, so it's a split map. Elder going to be up in 14 seconds. We've seen them do so much better around the objectives, have Cape Dogs, and now they're finding the poke. It's actually, even though all the map control should have been going over to Pleasure Doing Business, it was so smartly played. Now they're the ones who have to approach down to the side they weren't prepared for. This is so tense right now.
That chunk. You see the Peak and Piek have been both chunked down to less than half. And Shirley's activated.
Here's the engage. Cyclone, but the Cosmic Radiance is going to keep everybody alive, and that will be Deviant into the backline. However, as Milk Cow's going low, who's going to find it? The Peak going to get on out. It is going over to the Cape Dogs. It is not a dilly dip as he is forced to run but die anyway. Both inhibs back up. Base under no threat. The TP's coming out. Look at the Peak. He's desperately trying to angle for some sort of backdoor. This Elder is going to take a while to go down. He can at least take an inhib and set something up for P2 to TP in later, perhaps. This game's not over yet, Kev.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, going to be able to get at least this one. Did end up forcing. No, they're actually not even backing. He might be able to push in here.
Oh my god, guys,
He's gonna take second inhib.
Guys, your base, no! All your base belonged to the Peak as he takes 2, and there's only one next to turn it up, guys!
Somebody back, please!
Oh my god!
Okay, they draw Sirius's TP, Elder execute, easy peasy, but they lost 2 inhibs.
And
they only have 1 TP at least here on the side of Pleasure Doing Business, so it's not that dangerous. But P2 will get rid of what's left on this second Nexus turret with 2 autos. With the build he's got, Rabadon, Shadow Flame, Nashor's Tooth, going to punch right through, so they have to be so defensive of this backdoor possibility.
They have to have a high level of apprehension now, because it's still the same situation it was about 10 minutes ago. They have the Dragon Soul, they have the Baron, but there's still so many towers and so much standing infrastructure rather, in the way of Cape Dogs getting this victory. Yeah, they can get all the aces they want. Yeah, the death timers were very long, but even off of that, they only got a Baron. They didn't even get another tower, I don't believe.
This is so scary, man. Oh my goodness gracious. We
State
do
of this
see
game.
Yeah, we do see the grouping up coming in towards mid for the side of the Dogs. Nobody left in that base, but no wave approaching because they have so much clear they can just punch on through, but nobody addressing that bot wave, so that's where to keep your eyes. They're gambling that they can get through in this mid wave before that bot wave can become a threat onto their Nexus. They have the Banshee's Veil, or rather the Edge of Night, onto Wisdom, going to be pretty safe from the backline dive. They have Infernal Drake, they have Elder, they should just win the straight 5v5, and now it will be the Equalizer coming through as Milk Cow's forced to flash back. Can they find the kills? The Emperor's Divide to buy so much space as Peak falls, even through the bail up, it goes into that Guardian Angel. It's actually the fight going fairly well, despite the Elder. However, it will still be the 2-for-1 as Gent continuing to move forward, going to zone them back. Look at that bot wave, it's building up. It's a double super wave. They've taken 1 inhib, but P2's down for 50 seconds. Yeah, that's right. It's their only TP, so this should be the angle. But here comes the Shirelias. It's an uneven fight. Can they get out? There's going to be the Dazzling Gleam. There's going to be the Cataclysm, but do they have enough damage?
Elder,
This should be it! Oh my goodness, Fuzzy of Targon goes down. Gent will EQ over the wall. He will save the buffs for now, but look at the minions streaming in. 4 members dead, 25 seconds to the carries, the minions! Oh my goodness, the Baron! Oh, the Baron Rico comes through! But is it going to be enough? It's a death march coming on in. 15 seconds on Sirius. Oh my goodness, what is happening here, man?
It's absolute total chaos. The offense was completely shattered. I saw the play Cape Dogs were trying to go for, but unfortunately there is so much power in Divion in this late game Aurelia, in this late game Wukong, being able to dive your backline and make sure nothing happens. And speaking of the ultra coming in, this could be
This has to be the end. It's the 4v3, it's the Emperor's Divide, it's the Equalizer, but it's not enough. P2 knows the focus, he knows to just hit the Nexus. There's the Pop Blossom to seal the deal. The game goes forward. What a fiesta. But in the end, it is a 1-1 series. We're going to game 3.
Oh my goodness, brothers. 47-minute game number 2. We still have 1 more to play through before this night series is over.
Yeah, that's absolutely crazy. Oh, Kev, what happened, mate? Are you here with us? Are you still around? Have you shut back down?
He's here.
But my brain is just shut down at this point. I don't even know. All I can say is that we're going to a game 3, and I said at the beginning of the day that the reason Cape Dogs were going to win is because game 3 they were going to pull something out that was spicy.
True.
This is true.
Varus mid's gonna win the next game.
But you have to remember the Crow prediction as well said if this goes to game 3, PDB, they've gone to 2 other game 3s so far. What's stopping them from taking this one?
Here's where I'm going to come in, and I'm going to be the flip-flopper. I'm going to change sides up. We're basically doing our AD segment now. We usually do it before Game 3. We do a pre-show and one before Game 3 when we inevitably get there. So I'll take a little time to elucidate here on this point. PDB, man, it was not in any way convincing in Game 2. You could argue that they should have lost and that it was just a misplay around defending base and not backing soon enough to address that Wukong taking your last Nexus turret that really sealed that, and then even more over-aggression to throw in the base as well. Like, They threw it so many times back to Cape Dogs. I feel like that should have been Cape Dogs' game. Game 1 was pretty squarely Cape Dogs' game. I don't think PDB has enough miracles left for Game 3. I'm switching it up. I'm going Cape Dogs. We'll see what the ultimate result here will be, guys, ahead of Game 3. I need a little break from my voice. I need some coffee. I need to stretch the limbs. So we're going to throw it to a delay ahead of Game 3, but we'll be back with Champ Select on the other side. Stay right where you are. We're going to finish this one way or the other. Alrighty, everybody, here we are. We are going right into draft. It's Silver first pick. For the third game in a row, Kev, we have Pleasure Doing Business on blue. We have Cape Dogs back on red. Finally, the Tarek gets banned away. I think that was a lifeline that kept Cape Dogs in that game way longer than they had any right to be. But the response to the Silver might be something a little bit spicy. It might be the Rat King himself. It might be Twitch coming out. Would love to see that.
I mean, Twitch Lulu wouldn't be a bad combo here. We also have the cat on the rat as an option. But going to pick that Lulu away probably means that Pleasure Doing Business will just grab the Yuumi themselves. I don't know if I don't prefer the Yuumi.
Interesting, Renata Twitch. This is not one I've seen, but I think it makes some sense, and it gets those crazy handshakes out of PDB's early lane hands, and those crazy hostile takeovers away from them in the late game as well, because those were big deciding factors for Pleasure last game.
Yeah, absolutely. As we continue to see the draft adaptations come through, Nunu and Tarek both banned away for the side of PDB here, but it will be the Amumu answer on the other side as well. Karma actually going to come through. Maybe going to flex a little bit. I'm kind of expecting this to be a Karma solo lane, and for them to pick a jungler here and just kind of leave it up in the air as this could be a Karma support or a Karma solo lane.
Yeah, it won't be Karma mid at the very least. It will be Silas coming through. That's going to be Pleasure saying we're getting that hostile takeover one way or another, and you can't stop us. So they do pick themselves up a nice little team fighter there. Doesn't do too much with the Twitch ultimate. Maybe Cape Dogs can draft around giving Silas too much more ammunition for that R-button gun to be shooting out, but I think the Karma Flex is a good call. We saw P2 already comfortable playing ranged AP characters up in the top lane, so it could very well be setting up for a Karma top, maybe one of those Frostfire Gauntlet into Enchanter support build type Karmas with the W max. Very hard to knock down in lane, just plays that weak side role very well, but it'll be more comfort coming on out. J4 for the second game in a row. Hopefully we get to see that pretty sweet chroma come back out for Gent there on Cape Dogs. An absolute hero in game 2. Multiple crazy steals to just keep that and keep them in that game longer and longer and longer. Wukong going to be taken away, so Jungle Comfort picked up for CDU, taken away for Pleasure Doing Business.
Yeah, and at the very least, we will see a Mordekaiser ban come out. Like you said, I think they'll probably continue to ban out the jungler for Pleasure Doing Business here. The Peak has been pretty influential on both of the champs they played thus far. Of course, both of those did get banned out here, so we're going to be forced down even further. The real question for me is, do we see this Varus come out? I don't think so, especially because of the Silas.
Yeah, we'd need it to be an Azir counterpick, I feel like. I don't think anybody's blind in AP Varus mid, unfortunately. I'd love to see it. Maybe Cape Dogs would put it on just for a show for us if they're listening, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I am curious. Ooh, that's a cap specialty, though. I would love to see the Anivia. I've been playing this a lot myself recently in the mid lane. I've been seeing it regain popularity. Jensen played it in playoffs. Obviously, Caps pulled it way back out in MSI. We saw it in VRD last night. Very solid pick. Another ultimate that Silas doesn't use as well either. And now with this jungle pool really hit and none of the big wombo ultimate junglers like the Amumu or the Wukong that we've seen the comfort for the Peak be on, could just be this Vi come through, point and click CC, try and get that Twitch in a position to be shut down. But things very much maintaining their identity from last game. More of a pick comp for PDB, and it feels like a lot more of a team fight wombo for Cape Dogs, as that would be the confirmed Karma support if it is going to be Ornn picked up. Another sort of scaling pick here, and that will be the pickup. Counter pick left for the top lane here, Kev. What would you like to see into the Ornn?
We did see Cape Dogs hover the Fiora in the last game.
That would be Pog. Oh, they can't decide.
I think we're gonna see the Fiora over the Camille. Fiora is a little bit more straightforward. and will allow them to have a significant split push option that they didn't in the last game.
Yeah.
So, and it's a good lane matchup. It's a good counter pick, but we're really seeing some spice across the board here.
Yeah, it's a fun draft here for game number 5. Very standard, maybe, outside of the Karma for Pleasure Doing Business. They had access to a couple of other enchanters. They could have picked up Lulu or Yumi for the Sivir, so the Karma may be a bit more of comfort for Peak here down in the bot lane. But we will see... otherwise, pretty standard stuff. Sivir, Ornn, Vi, Sylas, very, very prevalent in the pro meta, in the competitive meta right now. Meanwhile, Cape Dogs, they're going for Twitch Renata, which is a lane combo I've never seen. I think can make a lot of sense. Put that bailout on Twitch for the attack speed bonus when you do get that Rat-a-tat-tat going. A Nivea, more of a niche pick. J4 in and out, but on the lower end of the meta presence. And Fiora with the split push win condition. I'm definitely digging Cape Dogs comp. I don't necessarily know if it's better, Kev, but it definitely excites me here. So I think I'm going to be rooting Cape Dogs all the way here in game number 3. How about you? Who you feeling?
I think if we see both teams play as passive as they did in the last game, I think Cape Dogs are going to end up with a significant advantage just because of the split push pressure that Fiora is going to exert. Whether if Fiora gets anything done in the side lane or not, just the pressure she's going to exert is going to call a lot of people up to that top side, which should mean that the rest of the map is able to get pressure. Of course, Twitch late game also really nasty, can absolutely just go invisible, pop into lane, and one tap you. So I think I'm. If things go the way they should, or I think they should, from just the drafts, I think my prediction at the beginning of the day is going to be right. Unfortunately, no Varus, so my hard call out there not going to come through. But I think we're in for another 40-minute banger, if I'm honest with you.
I certainly hope not. I'd love to go to bed, but maybe, you know what? I can't say I hope not. I love the banger League of Legends. We'll see how it winds up turning out here in game number 3, right after a short break before spectator delays. So stay right where you are. It all comes down to this. Game 3, Pleasure Doing Business. Cape Dogs coming right up.
weeks into it.
Mm. All right, it has all come down to this. It is time. We got the red, white, and blue popsicle and Nivea on the field. They've made such better Nivea skins. Kevbo, why are we being trolled with this abomination? It looks like those Nabisco popsicles, but I digress. We'll see what Serious for Y can do on this Nivea. Phase Rush coming through. That's an interesting bit of tech.
Yeah, I mean, Cape Dogs is a rather spirited team, so kind of glad. That one, I don't think it's quite made it to the status where it's just so bad that it's a meme.
Right.
But still, like you said, many other good options as we get to watch. I would assume if that was the 2020, it might have been the 2019 World skin, which would mean that's an FPX promo.
There's no way Championship Jarvan is that new. I feel like it just came out recently. I think that was the 2021 World skin. I could be wrong. Because that was the first one that instead of calling Championship, they called World Championship. So it's not Championship Jarvan, no, they didn't call it World Championship. They called it World's 2022 Jarvan is the name of that skin. Just so bad and incorrect, as they know Fuzzy and Wisdom are here and they're bringing the backup. They're getting chunked out, they're getting knocked up, the flashes are forced, the kills coming through, first blood for the Dilly Diff. That was so sad. That's not where you make that stand. You get bot lane brush priority, you camp in their forward brush, you don't camp their try. Oh, they're playing with my heart here, Kev.
I mean, play safe, we scale, not coming through quite yet for the Cape Dogs here. Of course, they are going to have a really nice matchup. Already getting the vital procs there is Milk Cows. Going with the Bewitching skin. Yet another instance where I think there are some better options, possibly. But you, viewer, will have to stick around to find out what skins are best priority. Of course, Victoris talk show going to be going live shortly after this.
Nice little stun coming out from Milk Cows there as well. Yeah, but definitely stick around on this main channel for VTS coming on up. Not VTS, the league, VTS, the talk show coming on up after our main broadcast here tonight. Kevbo going to be giving his Blitzcrank skin tier list. Should be a banger. What's not a banger is how things are going in this bot lane for the side of Cape Dogs. They are getting bullied out, but maybe Dilly in a little bit of trouble here as that E already used up by Peak. That's the flag and drag. That's the handshake back. Dilly Diff giveth, Dilly Diff taketh away, Kev. That's Wisdom getting on the board.
Yeah, and on the Twitch no less should scale, I think, a little bit better than the Sivir. Of course,
Range diff.
Has the range diff and has the invis diff that can be such a pain to play against as a good knockup comes through for P2.
Yeah, and another nice riposte stun, trying to get around to that second vital. Milk Cows does find it's a long lane. With where that vital spawned, Milk Cows probably would have been able to flash Q auto for a kill, but going to play it safe instead because still has the wave in a great spot. Now going to use the flash, but P2 going to use that E. Does get him to safety, as now the turret shot from Milk Cows might just put him in harm's way. The Peak could find it, but does not manage to do so. Now the wave, in not the best spot for Milk Cows, has pushed back out. In the meanwhile, Fuzzy of Targon getting really tagged up. First time we're seeing this player not on their signature Taric, and it's a little bit rougher than Peak's Renata was in the last game.
Yeah, serious.
Okay, I guess Sirius had Q on cooldown, so that's why EVM was feeling safe to go in for that. I was a bit worried that was just going to be a dead Sylas. As it is, it's a Sylas who didn't really feel the benefits of that gank coming through, even though it was a good gank, because both of them got tagged up, both of them got really beaten up, and now it's the Rat's turn to get beaten down a little bit. Fell into that binding like a mouse into a trap and now forced to flash defensively. But Gent coming all the way around from downtown. I didn't even see it happen. Peak does actually just have to flash on out. So some for some, things are really testy right now as that Q just flew right on through for Sirius. Does find a little bit of damage back because Deviants ran out of manas, ran out of ways to play this. Vi's coming back around, though. Bot lane, however, almost going to go down as Wisdom just dodging out on that Boomerang Blade. It's a game of inches right now, Kev. Either one of these teams is waiting for that big blow to find the big advantage.
Yep, and it is Milk Cows already with a little bit of a CS lead on this top side. Should be traded back once this tower does end up crashing. But still rather scary to see the Fiora already winning in this matchup. Of course, we should go back into a little bit of a lull state. I don't think either of these teams have great early dragons.
Yeah, it is going to be that Hextech first, as told by the fact that I have no icon in the upper left to tell me what Drake it is. Come on, Riot. You fix it for Kevbo, fix it for me. I want to see a big, beautiful Hextech icon. But, yeah, that Hextech Drake...
I will say, I don't have it in the upper left. I just have it in the objective timers screen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you see... If you don't have the esports style objective timers turned on, maybe it works. I do producing sometimes, so I have like the ones in the upper left and right for Baron and the Dragon that do come up when I'm in my own client. So that's where they have yet to fix it, unfortunately. Hopefully they get around to doing that at some point, but it's that stage of the game here. These two teams have been very slow in the early game, consistently throughout the series. This is the slowest one yet, with only 2 kills at 7 minutes. But it's that point of the game, Kev, where we're talking about things like Riot fixing the replay client. We can do another skin check, too, another fit check, see what kind of drip is going down. The Solar Eclipse Sever is pretty good, but that's the exhaust into the tether. Here comes the Vi with the 6. No escape available for Wisdom. That Rat's going away once again. Does get the bailout, but doesn't have the capability to actually trigger the second half by getting a takedown. So that is a pretty nice early advantage. 2 kills now to 1. 1.5K is the gold lead for the side of Pleasure Doing Business.
Yeah, P2, though, still in a really rough spot, to be honest with you. Especially with this wave pushing the way it is. Should be able to get it back, but at the same time, at this point, I think Milk Cows is going to just look to maybe try and freeze the wave near their own tower. And just keep Ornn there. As it will be Gent looking towards this Rift Herald. They might be able to collapse onto the Ornn here.
Yeah, here it comes. The pinch is through. The Herald even going to get in on the party to hit Pizza as well as the EQ comes out. That W a little too late to find the Unstoppable is now. That will be the Vitals all procced. I like that Bewitching skin. I don't know what you're talking about, Kev. That was a very jaunty little pumpkin face coming up. Serious for Y, roaming to secure this first objective of the game for the side of the Cape Dogs. A kill and a crab. A dinner any man would die for here. Going to be picked on up for the Dogs.
Absolutely. And, you know, I everyone has their personal preferences. I think it's good. I think that there are better options.
I mean, IG Fiora is one of the most beautiful skins to ever grace League of Legends.
That is my personal poison when it comes to the Fiora. Although I will say Pool Noodle Fiora is also really funny.
Okay, hot take. I don't. This will probably get me canceled in chat. I don't like pool party skins. I don't get the appeal. I really do not. I'm sorry. I love joke skins too. I love silly skins. It's just the aesthetic is not to my liking. That's something that's not going to be to Milk Cow's liking though, as the peak comes on up top and forces the flash. If you're a Cape Dog supporter, going to be a bit of a rough sight, but at least the crab will come through, and it could be a clean objective sweep. It's a 3v3 around the bot side here, but Milk Cow's re-hitting the map could run down bot. Serious for Why, at the very least, going to rejoin. Pretty low on mana, though. Might want to go collect that honey fruit to give themselves some juice for their ultimate peak around back. Could they Mantra Q steal this? That would be pretty pog. Gonna come on through, but not gonna be successful. It was a decent attempt with a pink in the pit. So, first two objectives of the game going over to Cape Dogs, and this is what they did so well in game one. Even when they fell behind through lane, they built up those objectives. As now Deviant forced to take that abscond over the Cataclysm. It was buffered very nicely, but now going to be walled into that Ice Storm. Here comes the hostile takeover, forced to be flashed. That is a lot picked up there for the Cape Dogs. Still down 1.5k, but thoroughly winning that exchange at the very least.
Yeah. And able to get out alive. That almost turned really bad for them really quickly. But just not able, like you said, to pick up that kill on the back end. And here it is, though, Milk Cows with the freeze. Ornn really can't step up to the wave, because if he does, you just dash towards him and proc the vitals, right?
Yep. And it's interesting to me, we haven't seen Milk Cows really abusing the Vital Reset trick, and I don't know if we've seen P2 using it either. For any of you Fiora players or people who get bodied by Fiora, a good trick to know, as P2 actually looks like he is... No, he's not doing it. When you get a Vital that's in a bad spot that you can't block with the wall or guard, like if you get a straight front Vital, you can just walk back until Fiora is in Fog of War for you, and the Vital will disappear and reset to a different one. So that's a nice little laning trick for all my top laners out there to use into Fiora. Yeah, put it down in the notebook.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that was the double flash coming out. That was like PTSD. Wisdom and Targon did not want to give away any capability of getting killed there. They didn't want to give a single inch. They just both caution flashed off CD. And this big laning lead that's been being built up for Milk Cows that you keep highlighting, Kevbo, is going to be transitioned into a nice little Herald take for even more of an advantage, should even things up overall, as I don't think the Demolish went through. They had it built up. There it goes. That's 3-hole plates, lickety-split. That's a nice cash infusion, takes them within 500 with Serious for Why, going to be put into the egg on the last tick of that Ignite there, but that was actually a well-done Q, getting it so that it would max detonate and stun Deviant and prevent any forward aggression. I mean, the turret was going to do it anyway, but nicely played for Serious for Why. Looks pretty comfortable on the Anivia.
Yeah, the zone control is good from the Anivia, but of course into the Sylas is going to struggle like we just saw with Sylas's ability to all-in. If that abscond duct does land, it is really hard to peel for yourself. Even with the wall, can sometimes be a bit of an issue. And of course, Kingslayer follow-up from the Sylas should allow for, a lot of healing in lane.
Yeah, sustain is the name of the game. Grievous Wounds, kind of a joke in this day and age. Definitely hard to play against these heavy healing champs, but you got Fiora on the one end, you got Sylas on the other. I'd love to see them have a bloody beatdown, see who does wind up winning in the end when they take each other on, as Fuzzy is just having such a hard time in this lane. Wisdom also going to be the recipient of the Dilly Diff, getting dang near doubled in CS. It might bloom into a Flame Horizon at some point or another, but Gent continuing to be on point around this top lane, forces the flash out of P2. Things really at a slow point. I feel like I'm casting an LJL game, to be honest with you, Kev. I've never had this feeling with a Victoris game at any level of the league. 4 kills at 13 minutes is glacially slow for gold plat players.
Yeah, however, I think it is really in the side of the Cape Dogs here if this game continues to stall out like this. Of course, still do have to be careful with some of the scaling options.
Oh, nice
through.
riposte. Not to cut you off, that was just very well done by Milk Cows, waiting for the exact moment that headbutt was going to hit the turret. That will be the first turret, however, going on over to Dilly, who is huge in this game, leading the pace and farm, has both kills for the team, now taking the first turret bonus gold as well at 5.8k of the team's 22k gold. Definitely a big boy right now. And with all of this setup around this Infernal hitting in 15 seconds, it should be an easy take or lambs to the slaughter for the side of Cape Dogs if they do try and contest.
Yeah, I think instead they're just going to look to trade. You already have a lot of side lane pressure with this Fiora, but getting the Rafael should expedite that even more. Twitch just going to pick up the wave in the bot lane. We should see both these teams getting back out onto the map here soon.
Critically, it was serious, stealing away the enemy blue buff. Going to be very necessary on that Anivia. Goes through the mana like you wouldn't believe, but here's Devious looking for the engage. It was the nice EQ coming out from Jet to cancel, but Peek onto the backline, onto the Anivia. Doesn't have the egg to play with as Dilly picks it up. The hostile takeover finds nothing at all. The team fight going to be a complete wipe for the side of the Pleasure Doing Business with you guys. They came in, they picked up 2, and they got out. We thought that it was just going to be a nice, clean trade, but there was time for Pleasure Doing Business to walk up to that top side, Kev, and punish them for trying to get a split map.
Yeah, and no one here to defend the mid lane tower. Silas going to walk behind it. Minions are kind of low.
Ah, they got it. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, I thought one more turret shot was going to go off, but even then I think it would have been executed, so it would have been fine. Finally, Cape Dogs do answer back here with a turret of their own. You put a Fiora with a Rift Herald, and obviously something is going to fall, but still down 2-1 in that turret score. Still down a sizable 3k chunk at this point. Completed Kraken Slayer for Sivir will absolutely be cutting through people. We really need to see Wisdom and Target step up. It was their laning mishaps that have really built this lead up to the point it is at right now, and just not going to, or weren't rather, as effective as they could have been in that last fight. Going to really have to carry through with the big DPS as soon as they can to get this game back on even footing.
I honestly really didn't like that use of the Rift Herald there. The tower was already below 2 plates, and it was past 14 minutes, so Fiora should have been able to take that one pretty easily without the use of the Rift Herald. Maybe could have placed it somewhere else and forced another tier 1 down. They are going to end up getting more money into Milk Cow's pocket, though, so it should be, at the very least, you know, like I said, that tower gold is still going to be significant, and going to accelerate the lead that they have in that side lane. Hopefully should force the issue a little bit more here in the coming moments on that top side.
Yeah, and it's scary that as far ahead of the Ornn as Fiora is, about 1,300 gold's worth. Sivir, another 1,000 gold in front of her, but now we have a 2v1 series for Y, going to flash through, couldn't get the ult out in time, so just going to die in egg form. Gent can't do anything, he's down 2 levels, and now the cavalry has arrived. Oh my goodness, that was painful.
Yep. And you don't have to worry about the split pushing Fiora when you have numbers on the map anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why Sirius didn't get the ult down there. Not that I think they would have won anyway, because the Silas is very accelerated, and that was a 5-stack Dark Seal, but that just does allow free reign. They're going to take a tier 2 in mid, they're pressuring the tier 1 in top. I mean, this could be just a quick victory coming on in for Pleasure Doing Business before Cape Dogs even have a chance to really hit their win conditions.
Yeah, and I mean, they're already taking these camps off of Gent here. It's got to be so hard for them to really get back in the game. Fuzzy of Targon forced to flash again. This really hasn't been able to do much off of this Taric here.
Yeah, I feel like the bot lane here for Cape Dogs has sort of been flashing on cooldown. Wisdom at least hanging on to theirs for now. We'll see if that does continue, but all the tier 1's gone. The mid lane tier 2 pushed all the way back, so the line of scrimmage very far accelerated. I won't say it's impossible for Cape Dogs to come back in this game, right? Because we have seen basically constant epic throws from Pleasure Doing Business in both of our first 2 games, but this time the lead's so centralized onto Dilly, who has so many tools to keep him safe, with the Karma, with the Spell Shield, with the movement speed. You have Silas, who lives forever in a fight. They're going to be really hard to shut down. They have a nice, consistent 5v5, easy to execute composition this time around. There's no Cosmic Radiance to buy you out, with a Taric for Fuzzy of Targon this time. So the deck definitely feels more stacked for them this time. I'd like to see a nice clean closeout, a nice evolution for them over the course of this series.
Yeah, and the worst part of it is that for the side of Cape Dogs, they indexed so heavily into the late game that it's going to take probably another 20 minutes until they really are going to be in a spot where they should be getting an advantage around these neutral objectives. Of course, you do still have the zone control from the Anivia here, but with the pick potential and the insane amount of damage going to be coming through for the side of Pleasure Doing Business, I don't think that there really is much of a chance for them to really contest much of anything.
Serious for why? Just going to be turned into fried chicken on repeat here. I mean, this Anivia not doing what it was hoped to do. Stuck on that one item, which is the Leandries. Meanwhile, Silas dang near completed that zone. He has a 7-stack Dark Seal. I mean, this is the base beginning to already be the target. Milk Cow's coming around. Not the most adept team fighter on the Fiora, though. Hostile takeover just used to push back the siege. But look at Dilly down in the bot lane with P2, just taking another tier 2. I mean, this one, knock on wood, Kevbo, really does feel clean, clear, and over already, as they know Fuzzy has no flash. Goodbye, Renata. That bailout does nothing, and the ult's still there into Gent for the tether as well. The exhaust into the Mantra Q. Maybe the peak went a little too far, as now finally Twitch can open up, but they just have so many tools still to get away. Didn't have to use the flashes aggressively. Deviant was even willing to go back in with the Abscond Abduct if it had connected onto Wisdom. Maybe it's better that it didn't, but, Twitch opened up, did absolutely nothing. It's looking really, really rough for Cape Dogs here.
Yeah. Twitch is super far behind at this point in the game. Not even going to be 7 CS a minute. It's just gotta feel so bad for the side of Cape Dogs right now. Really, all you can do is to just sit back and hope that you can turtle and scale up. Because even the Fiora, while she does have a nice little lead for herself and a bit of an advantage, she can't push out on the map by herself because everyone else is so far pushed in by the rest of PDB.
Yep. Be an easy swing around to punish an overextension from Milk Cows at this point. No pressure whatsoever except for that first top lane tier 1, as you point out, that was taken. Things definitely not where you want them to be if you were rooting for the Cape Dogs, but meanwhile, for Pleasure Doing Business, the evolution has been real. They got out to early game leads in all 3 of these games. They threw in game 1. They tried their best to throw in game 2, but managed to scrape it on through. And now here in game 3, they are up 8k at 22 minutes, the biggest lead at the earliest point we've seen. They could even eye up this Baron, and they will. The peak going in, so much warded up territory that has to be moved through here for Cape Dogs. I don't think they're going to be able to get into contest.
Will Gent pull out another Miracle Steal?
I mean, that's what they're preying on at this point, right? If Cape Dogs do manage to come back in this series, it has to be Gent, the MVP, with what they've done, but right now it's not looking like that's an option. That's a 23-minute Nasher, basically on spawn, coming through. And, it continues to be rough. I wish I could say there was more to look forward to and hope for the Cape Dogs, but they are well and truly getting batted around right now.
With this Baron push as well.
Didn't even answer the tier 1 in bot, Kev. I mean, you kept Fiora. Fiora's been there for the past minute and a half while the Baron was getting taken, and couldn't even take the objective bounty tier 1. I mean...
Yeah,
yikes, man.
She can't push past. She can't push far enough to take the tier 1 because she doesn't know where 90% of the other team is.
Oh, This is painful. This is painful. It's painful. But there's always hope. You know, I don't know if you know this one, Kev, because you're newer to the game, but it was a classic match in the annals of LoL history. CLGEU versus Moscow 5, 2012. Froggen, the man who basically invented the way Anivia is played, the most iconic pro Anivia player of all time, really the only one who played it into modern times regularly, one of his signature champions. They had a game where they were down like, and granted, League was very different back then, so this doesn't mean what it means now, but they were down like 15k against the best team in the world, which was Moscow 5, at like 28 minutes. And they just sat with Anivia and turtled for like 40 minutes and eventually won the game. But I don't think that's going to happen here, because that's your support already gone. That's your jungler half health. That's your inhibs falling. I mean, Gent flag and dragging, I don't even understand why. Maybe trying to set up Twitch. That's going to be the stolen hostile takeover, diverting Milk Cows from getting on in. They finally find one back, but the Call of Forge God already there to buy more space as P2 wants to keep going forward, wants to find this very decelerated Anivia, wants a Punisher. Maybe they've gone too deep as Gent did live. Man, she gets back out with the Cataclysm as now Milk Cow is finally chasing down Dilly, will find the shutdown. They're going to lose an inhib on the bot side. Deviant going to find Jet as well. That's the second inhib. It's a little too little, a little too late for the side of Cape Dogs, because I think this game could still be forced very soon here. Wisdom back up in 7, but Milk Cows playing the hero, getting the wave to pull back, keeping the capability of ending from being easily accessed there until the rest of the team is back on the map. That time is too short to force anything right now, but man, oh man, are Cape Dogs in a bad spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Silas now at 23 stacks, gotta Magize. It's, I mean, you're not going to be able to contest this one either, are you? So it's just going to be soul points going over for free. To Pleasure Doing Business. I don't know. I don't know how you make it back. That last team fight, Twitch died from a quarter health to the first part of Ornn ult.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really do much damage. So this feels like solo queue. This feels like my team in solo queue if I'm Milk Cows here.
Yeah.
But it still has been a really, really good showing from Pleasure Doing Business. Like you said, the evolution in this series. Lost pretty handily in the first game. But able to adapt, and something that we talk about a lot in competitive is adaptation in these series, and the picks and bans that they've adapted, they got rid of the things that were causing the issues. And in this third game, it seems that Cape Dogs really just don't have an answer. They didn't adapt. They were sticking to this Taric bot lane support that they seem to love. And it just, they've looked so lost.
Absolutely, they have.
They have.
This Renata, definitely not one of Targon's specialties. 0-5, you could say maybe the linchpin, the primary cause right now in what was a pretty resounding defeat thus far in Game 3. Obviously, the story's not done being written yet. There's still the chance for the comeback, but it's getting ever slimmer all the time, and it'll get even slimmer still as this third inhib does fall. That's double waves of supers. That's the 5v5 defense around this Nexus. Sirius at least does have the Glacial Storm to clear stuff out. But yeah, gonna be a difficult one here for Anivia and the gang, and it does kind of make me question this phase rush for Sirius for why, because it didn't keep them safe from the Silas in lane. Like, we see Electrocute being really standard for Anivia. We saw a combo just now when they were sieging that tier 2 in top where Anivia hit the WQE ult and actually chunked Silas to about half, but it didn't wind up sticking or meaning anything. Now, if you take Electrocute, even this far behind, you're still doing a decent amount of damage there. But the Phase Rush, kind of a useless rune for the bird. And, yeah, a lot of poor decisions.
I almost feel like the First Strike could have been, or would have been
That's what I've been playing on Anivia, bro. The synergy. I've been playing First Strike Anivia. It's really fun. I don't know if it's optimal, but it's definitely fun. And I think it would have outperformed the Phase Rush for sure.
Yeah,
At this,
even at the very least, you should be getting the first hit even when Silas is jumping on top of you, right?
yeah, assuming you're putting down your storm preemptively, he's gonna have to dash through it. And your W procs it as well. So that's my tick and chip. My trick and tip for Nivea. First strike, very fun. You know, at the very least here, Kev, they're catching lots of waves to get some XP and some gold. You know, triple waves of double supers does mean you're building the wallets up a little bit, but I don't think they're going to be able to repel this siege whatsoever once the purple cloaks are donned by these multiple waves. Just really a matter of running it up mid at this point for the side of Pleasure Doing Business. What an amorphous, atypical game here for the VAS. This game 3 has been 16 kills in 30 minutes. I mean, this is like watching an LCS game. This is even worse than LJL. At least LJL gets bloody in the late game, but this is like your typical like Team Liquid versus FlyQuest week 6 of the regular season. Nobody cares. Just control style dominating gameplay.
Yeah, absolutely. And this inhibitor is going to come up here. It looks like two just die. I expect the peak to look for an ult here, probably onto. Honestly, I would target the Anivia still, while Milk Cows is.
Oh, max distance abscond abduct sets it up. Jet Force to flash back. I mean, the wave clear is pitiful. They had to use Twitch ult for wave clear, and even with the Glacial Storm, that wasn't enough. Here comes the waves. Here comes the peak, finally going deep. Maybe gets pulled into the fountain. That's one. But I don't think that's going to be enough to decide the fight. They're going for the desperation play, but the Nexus is open and getting hit, and it just doesn't matter anyway. That was... I can't decide if an underwhelming or an overwhelming way to end the series, but a clean victory for the side of Pleasure Doing Business. They've gone to 3 games every time, and this time around, you know, they did it cleanly. They did it with their starting roster. I think this is a really solid point they can feel very happy about moving forward in the season, Kev.
Yeah, especially if these players are able to continue actually getting these reps in and playing with each other, especially on the stage itself. I expect for them to be a threat come playoffs time.
Yeah, definitely so. As we are going back onto the AD, we got Crow rejoining us. Hello, beautiful, my beautiful. What do you think of this 3-game series we were just all experiencing together?
I think that a certain Corvid individual is correct on his Copernicus comprehension skills because I called it. 3 games in the bag, easy. I mean, first off, draft diff. Second off, dilly diff. It happened. It happened. We got the dilly diff. Man put up such crazy numbers. I don't like the Twitch Renata. I'm gonna go out and say it. When I saw that in draft, I was kind of like, "Oh, all right."
I think in theory, I just want to.
How's it supposed to get into like do in lane against Karma Sivir?
Yeah,
it's not. The math ain't math in Dodge. That's all I gotta say. But once again, I'm victorious on my predictions, so that's all that matters.
That you are. And speaking of the victorious parties, that is going to be Pleasure Doing Business coming through with the victory, which means we need to select an MVP for the series amongst the 5 players. I will get that poll going in the chat right now, but if you guys want to start us off with your personal MVPs, Kev, who are you feeling?
Yes, Kev, tell us. Because I already have mine picked.
Wow,
if you have yours, go ahead and go, because I'm having a little trouble deciding. I think
Devion, baby, the maniac in the mid lane, just absolutely crushing it every single game. Even in that game that they lost, Devion, baby, like so good, so good.
Chef's kiss.
I think.
Okay, go ahead.
I think that they had a really good last game, and they played pretty good the rest of the game, but I think a lot of what got them the wins was the jungler. I think that they had a really good couple of, even in the first game, was getting a lot of work done against the Nunu that was pretty rampant on the map, but still able to engage and keep up the pressure here. As I cannot remember the name, the peak.
Yeah, the peak. I mean, look, yeah, like neck and neck. Like I flipped a coin on it, not gonna lie. But Devion and the peak were just actually running roughshod like the entire series. Like I said, even in that game that they lost, you look at the top of the scoreboard for the side of PDB, the peak and Devion were right there, and it was literally insane how much of a carry this man in the mid lane was for PDB. Like it was just, don't give this man Silas. Like if there's any teams watching scouting, don't give this man Silas, because that was a crime.
That was rough.
Like
it was definitely rough. I think it's interesting. I think this is a series where you could make an argument for basically anybody being the MVP here, because as I look over at our MVP poll, everybody so far has drawn votes. Devion is leading the charge right now with 3 votes, but it's funny that I'm actually different from both of you guys. I feel like P2 has gone underappreciated in these conversations thus far. The Nico in game 2, basically saving the series.
The Nico was sexy. That was
in the team fights, absolutely. And then game 3, obviously it wasn't flashy, playing the Ornn and going behind, but didn't go behind any further than necessary. Like it's basically a law of nature that, you know, got ganked 3 times, by the way, by Jen, and was playing up against Fiora and didn't like chain feed. It was like 0-2 down like 20 CS when lane is over. It could have been so much worse, and playing that weak side admirably in game 3 allowed your bot lane to continue popping off, allowed your mid lane to continue popping off with that jungle attention. So I definitely want to give shout outs to P2. That's where my vote was cast, but it is looking like it will be the mid laner. Everybody make sure, get your votes out. Make your voice heard.
Honestly, everyone on this team was so good. It was so good to see them like just play as such a unit. We talked about Dilly Diff at the start of the day. We knew that was gonna happen, coming to fruition, but just such a solid rock. Him and Beck in the bot lane were just so strong. Like,
and the difference from game 1 to game 3, because you say the way they played synergistically. In game 1, it was a disaster. In game 2, it didn't always look much better given the throws, but in game 3, they were solid, man.
They were hard scaling for late. Let's give it that. They were hard scaling for late. It just manifested in game 3. You know, it's the long con gathering storm.
Hey, Devion, MVP.
It is the maniac in the mid lane, Devion. Man,
KDA so good it broke the counter.
Why are we the same person? I was about to make the same joke.
I'm so sorry, Kev Boss. Stole your thunder.
It's the caster synergy. But speaking of synergy, the energy is low. It's been a long night. We had a very.
We're all tired.
So, you know, blah, 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 usual spiel. Get in the Discord, follow us on Twitter, follow all of us individually on Twitter as well. Say hi, say bye, blah, blah, blah. You know how it goes. Yeah.
9,000!
Over 9,000! Bro, the Dragon Ball jokes keep coming today. It's so beautiful.
Also, don't forget, here in about 30 minutes, we will be back live with the VTS podcast.
This is true.
Got a lot of spicy stuff planned. They've been spam pinging our group chat pretty much the entire cast, so I'll have to catch up on that right before the podcast. But VAS still looking strong. Hopefully we won't have too many teams. I guess it's inevitable though that we're going to have an insane amount of teams tied here in this Group C.
Yeah. I mean, it was the 6-way tie. We were breaking up. I have to check the results after this to see how it's shaping up afterwards. But if we get, I swear to God, if it lands in another tie, that'd be absolutely ridiculous. That'd be something, wouldn't it? But anyway, that's going to be it for us here on the desk and the broadcast team, everyone at Victoris Esports. We will see y'all next week. We'll be here, same time, Same place. I don't know if we're alternating. Maybe. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. It's cool. Whatever. Anyway, bye. 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 Bye.